What's going on, everybody? This is, again, one of those things. We're gonna see where, um, where the wind will take us. You know, um, don't forget to jab the like button if you want to join in on the conversation as we kind of, keep moving here. Let me know. All right, some stuff on the agenda tonight. Bernie Sanders wins Nevada caucus. Establishment panic, climate change. And we're also going to touch on the topic of free will. All right, is what we're going to touch on here. First, so Bernie Sanders performs even the polls had him winning, but he performed even better than the polls had him winning on or whatever. But um, Bernie Sanders got 10 delegates. Joe Biden got 2. Pete Buttigieg got 0. No one else seems to have gotten anything. So Biden managed to get 2 delegates, and Bernie Sanders got 10 right here, okay? 47.1% of the total vote is with 88 reporting, meaning it's almost virtually impossible for him to lose. He may lose some delegates, maybe, but one, I have no idea why it's taking these caucuses so long to tally votes, man. Iowa and Nevada are not huge states, so I've always found that weird. However, Bernie Sanders with 10 delegates and with 47.1% of the entire vote, almost half. Okay. Biden with 21%, Buttigieg with 13, and Elizabeth Warren with 9.6. I could see I could pull up the others here. Tom Steyer got 4.7. Okay, Amy Klobuchar 3.9. Andrew Yang already dropped out, and I don't even see anybody else here. All right, that's about it. So Amy Klobuchar got a total of 506 votes. All right, that's what she got. That is, interesting. This is the topic on ABC AJ10. Interesting. What's going on, Reggie? By the way, Reggie, if you want a link, let me know, man. Let me know if you want an in on this conversation. It is clear to me. All right. It honestly is clear to me that Bernie is going to win the nomination unless some funky business happens. Okay. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they're trying to get one delegate away from Bernie right now. It's taking them for absolutely ever to, just to get the results out in such a small state. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Okay. If we go to Iowa, Bernie got, supposedly the same amount of votes as Pete Buttigieg, but they gave Buttigieg one more delegate. I mean, that's interesting. All right. New Hampshire, Bernie won New Hampshire by 4,000 votes, 76,324 votes in total. He got 9 delegates. Buttigieg got the same amount. Amy Klobuchar got 6 right there. Elizabeth Warren 0. I don't think Elizabeth Warren really has that many delegates. I honestly think she's about to drop out any time now. Right now, the next primary is in South Carolina. And all right, I hear you, Reggie. South Carolina, the way it's always been presented to everybody, right, is the way to the White House for or nomination for a Democratic candidate. And the reason this is all right, is because of the minorities, mainly African Americans, okay, that are primarily Democratic. And there seems to be like a sense of if you win South Carolina, you basically, more than likely you're going to win that vote, right? And I'll never forget 4 years ago, Bernie got destroyed in South Carolina by Hillary. Okay, he got his ass handed to him. Um, and I just don't know if that's going to happen again or not. Biden is leading in some of these polls, right? But he's been falling, and Bernie's been raising, or going up, I should say. And Bernie has momentum right now. Bernie's won the popular vote in all the primaries and caucuses, whatever you want to call it, that they've done so far. Every single one of them. If this was any other candidate, if this was an establishment candidate, if Bernie Sanders, if Biden, I'm sorry, if Biden, okay, if Joe Biden had won Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and was, up in the polls in South Carolina, they would be anointing him the front runner. They'll be anointing him basically the winner of the nomination. All you would hear is there's a 99% chance he wins. You never know, but it's more likely he's going to win. Every time Bernie wins, they spin it in a negative light, right? Iowa, we all know some funky business happened in Iowa. They took at least one delegate from Bernie, if not two, from Iowa, okay? And they tried to make it seem like he lost. CNN went out of their way without the reporting out. And what did they say? Buttigieg won, right? Bernie takes it in New Hampshire. All right, let me look at the New Hampshire numbers here really quick. All right. So let's share the screen so you guys can take a look at this. 1 second. One momento. So I'm going to show you New Hampshire right now. Right? Bernie won New Hampshire. All right. All right. I'll use this one. It's very convenient. Bernie Sanders had 25.7% of the vote. And the mainstream media try to spin it as, well, he obviously lost steam because he won New Hampshire by a much larger margin the last time. He lost half his support, they said. But they leave out the part that he's running against more people. He was only running, against Hillary the last time. So if you're running against more people, your percentage is just going to be lower. That's common sense. Man, this shit don't even have to be explained, to be honest with you. But for some people want it explained, whatever. Okay. Hold on, my shit's freezing up here. Give me a second. I hate when this computer freezes, man. Like I don't get. Let's see here. So right now, Bernie has a pretty healthy lead against the field. I don't know why this shit went off, but here it is. Okay. He's got a pretty healthy lead, as you can see. Check it out. Bernie Sanders, 31 delegates. Pete Buttigieg with 22. Elizabeth Warren with 8. Biden with 8. Amy Klobuchar with 7. Okay. Bloomberg's going to start joining the field pretty soon. I think they want Bloomberg. They're waiting for Super Tuesday, whatever they call it, for Bloomberg to make a move. You know what I mean? But right now, this is where we stand at this moment. Right now, they need 1,991 delegates to win the nomination. And so it's going to be interesting how everything moves, going forward. All right. It really is. But Typically, the way they do it, when they go through all the caucuses and all the primaries, the one who has most of the delegates wins. Okay. So the magic number is 1,991. If Bernie Sanders has 1,990, if that's the case, they could very well not give him the nomination, right? They could turn around. They could say, you don't get any shit. Sorry. And they're already talking about bringing the super delegates back too. But now, we're going to bring these super delegate things back. We're going to let's bring back the whole super delegate thing. I think it's a good idea. Like, all of a sudden, it's a good idea now that they see that Bernie Sanders is winning. The liberal outlets are always bring up free speech and inclusion, go harder on Bernie than the average right-wing Republican. They're going hard on Bernie. Make no mistake about it. They do not want Bernie Sanders to win. And this is what I challenge you to think about. Why not? Why don't they want Bernie to win? Bob Arum, want to mix up boxing, came out and said he will turn around and vote for Trump if Bernie Sanders wins the nomination. He likes Klobuchar and Joe Biden. Joe Biden's his dude. You know what I mean? That's who Bob Arum wants to see win. But let me ask you, why is that? Why does Bob Arum want Joe Biden? You know what I mean? Why do they want that? Why do they want, what's up, Chicano Prophet? If you want on, let me know. I'll shoot you a link. I want you to sit back and just think about this. Why doesn't MSNBC, the so-called liberal network, why don't they want Bernie Sanders to win the nomination? I want you to step back and think about that. Why don't they want that? I want you guys to think about it. Think long and hard. Why is that? Why does CNN just really not want Bernie to win? Why is this? Why doesn't Whoopi Goldberg and The View, the panel of The View, why don't they want Bernie to win? I want you to sit back and think about this for a second. I want you guys to put in the comments. Why don't you think they want him to win? It's not just Fox News. I mean, the so-called liberal networks, okay, do not want Bernie to win, okay? They don't. Now, the answer is very simple. Corporations run the networks. MSNBC is a corporation that functions under a capitalistic society. MSNBC has board members. MSNBC is in business to make profit. That's their number one motive. That's the number one thing they do. That's why they're around. Okay? When MSNBC's contract runs out with, let's say, DirecTV, they're going to aggressively, try to impose an increase, okay, in price for them to carry their package. Why? Because they're in business to make money. You think they're going to say, no, we're not going to increase the rates? You know what? We want more people to hear this news and, lower the rate. You know what I mean? It's just, that's not what they do. They're all part of the establishment. That's why they do not want Bernie to win. Not MSNBC, not CNN, no one. Barack Obama is behind closed doors, okay, talking about how he's going to do everything he can to stop Bernie Sanders. Ask yourself, why? Why does Bob Arum come out and say, I'd rather vote for Trump than Bernie? I'll vote for Biden. I'll vote for Klobuchar. I'll vote for Hillary if she comes back. He even said, I'll vote for Bloomberg. But Bernie, he'll burn this country to the ground. Will he burn the country to the ground, or will he burn the corrupt system to the ground that benefits a small percentage of people? Ask yourself this question. What's going on, Kelly? Okay, we got Kelly Nigma in the house.
Hey, how you doing, man?
How's it going, bro?
Oh man, just heard that Jim Clyburn is gonna endorse, by Joe Biden. I think Wednesday he's gonna supposed to endorse Joe Biden, and then of course Harry Reid has come out and said he wants to. I want to get rid of the caucuses too, but now he wants to get rid of the caucuses now that Bernie Sanders won. So you know how this works, man. It's just something hilarious.
You know what though? You know the establishment. Okay, like this is my theory, right? They had Kamala Harris and even Cory Booker drop out. Okay, because they feel confident that Joe Biden is going to win the African American vote in South Carolina, and they feel that's going to give them momentum moving forward. They don't want to like spread the vote or anything like that. That's how the thinking is of the establishment anyway. But do you think Joe Biden's going to win South Carolina?
I can see him eking it out. I do. I see him eking out. Tom Steyer's killing him, though, to be honest with you. Bernie's made inroads, too, but Tom Steyer's really hurt them. He's taken a lot of the vote away from Joe Biden. And if he ekes it out right now, Bernie Sanders is second. But he leads Bernie by like 5 points right now. So if he only wins by 5 points, he's only going to get like 1 or 2 more delegates than Bernie. That's astonishing going into that.
Yeah, but what about 40. The narrative though? Well, what's the narrative going to be if he wins?
They're going to say a comeback for Biden, but the problem is in California we already started voting, and Bernie Sanders is leading by 17 points over here in California. He's going to get annihilated on Super Tuesday anyway. So Bernie's leading almost every Super Tuesday state. So I just don't see that they be.
Well, Super Tuesday, they're really banking on that Bloomberg's, like that's their backup plan if Joe Biden doesn't pan out.
But early voting started. I'm telling you right now, man. Bernie's gonna win here in California big. I heard Bernie Sanders leads Texas now, so it's ugly for Joe Biden, man. But he's gonna get crushed in California. Joe Biden's
gonna vote in Texas. I know we know where that vote's going, but
I already voted for Bernie, man. I'm already mailed my ballot back. Vote absentee, so I'm already voted for Bernie. It's over. He gonna get routed here.
So you know for sure one vote that's going for Bernie. But man, I gotta tell you, bro, you know the narrative that they're gonna push, but it seems to me like the left, or let's call it the establishment left, right? The Democrat, establishment Democrats who are really center, center right. There's, but compared to the Republicans, they're to the left of the Republicans, but they're not liberals by any stretch of the imagination.
Because the Republicans are like not even on a political spectrum anymore. They're so far right. I mean, it's just not insane. They're in the same country. In a real world, I mean, the Democratic Party would be considered far right, but in this country, they're considered a left wing party. That's how far to the right the Republican Party is. It's funny. Every time a Republican takes 2 steps to the right, the Democrat follows them. The Democratic Party follows them to the right. It's like, no, we got to keep up with the Republicans instead of just trying to. It's not. They're not playing.
They let them control the Overton window.
They do.
And that's been and that's what helped create the monster that we know of Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
Well, if you hear
like a Bloomberg running as a Democrat in like the 1980s would be laughable. You know what I mean? Like people think like what type of a joke is this? Like you know what I mean?
Well, funny thing about the Democratic Party is the Democratic Party. Funny thing, I speak to voters. I'm on Twitter, because people are talking about. I talk about a range of things on Twitter. Mostly, I've been talking about politics, even building up to last week with whole fight and everything. I've been talking about far more politics than even the fight, because that's more important right now. But even with that, me saying you're arguing with these Democratic voters, and their priority is not policy based. It's like, man, what are you voting for if you don't want to get anything? I don't understand this mindset. We just have to win. But if you win and you don't, if you win and you don't get anything, well, then what's the purpose? I mean, if you vote for something, don't you want something? I mean, that's what voting's supposed to be, pay for play. And
Right.
the fact that people just want to win just to get rid of Trump. But I said, I do want to get rid of Trump. He's absolutely atrocious.
But we have delusional people in this country, Kelly, that now that you mentioned that actually believe that millionaires give millions in contributions to politicians just out of the kindness of their heart. Like, it's just they just believe in the philosophy that this politician believes in, like as if there's no correlation to the money they give to these politicians, and then in turn what they do in return for them when they vote laws into place, tax codes into place. You know what I mean? That benefit those exact donors. You know, so there's nothing wrong with a voter saying, if a group of voters says you want our vote, then yes, you have to do something for us. You know what I mean? But it's only acceptable when rich people buy out the politicians. You know.
I have this argument all the time. People are like, "Oh, there's no way possible that that's not true." So you're trying to tell me that politician is bought? Yeah. You notice how they bid favors for that particular person. You don't think so? All of a sudden, certain policies tend to help a certain company. So tax breaks and things of that nature tend to get passed, or all of a sudden we deregulate some industry. You think that magically happened, or you don't think it had anything to do with the political donation they received when they were running for president, or running for Senate, or running for Congress, or running for city council, or running for mayor, or a county superintendent, whatever, Absolutely. Right? And it's like there's a payoff and there's a return everywhere. It's always pay for play. Unfortunately, our government allows for bribery, and I don't care what you say. You can call it lobbying, but it's bribery. You can lobby. It's one thing to lobby, but you can pay. It comes with cash payoffs as well, and sometimes job offerings as well. So, okay, one thing. This is what you're gonna do. I want you to deregulate this certain industry or whatever. I need you to get rid of this law. I don't like this regulation. Can't get rid of it. Meanwhile, your son, Jimmy, is going to be graduating from college. Here's a $150,000 job that he can get straight out of college. Things like this, stuff like this happens. This is the sick part about it, but it happens. And so we get thrown under the bus for, one of the politician's son or something like that who want, to make sure he has a high paying job straight out of college. It's sick. But I mean, unfortunately, we lose on a regular basis because we can't match the money of one guy. I mean, you see, look at what you're seeing with Bloomberg. Say what you want about Bloomberg in the debate performance, but if you look at how he's caught up in the polls, $400 million. Are you kidding me? Fucking kidding me?
But you know what though, Kelly? Like I know us, and what's up, Reggie? I'll go to you next. What's with, like, I understand that us, like, to me, Bloomberg looked horrible in the debate. You know what I mean? Like that to our eye. You know what I mean? But bro, like I could totally see like a Bob Arum or some millionaire watching like that debate, and they totally think Bloomberg owned Bernie by calling him a communist. Like to them, that's ooh, he called him out. Yes, you know what I mean? Like to them, that's like when Bloomberg said, I'm the only one that actually owns a business, or stuff like that. Like to them, that's a win. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are overlooking that a little bit.
Yeah, and the funny thing though, I argued with a guy today because some dude called Joe Biden communist. So like, look, I don't even like Joe Biden, but come on, man, he's not a communist. They just call anybody a communist.
If you're gonna insult a dude, like there's a lot of things you can insult Joe Biden for. You know what I mean?
Communism though, come on, dude. So they do this to everybody on anybody with a Democratic name or D next to his name becomes a communist.
Yeah, they call these corporate networks that are scared of a democratic socialist communist networks, bro. Okay.
Yes. MSNBC is communist. You could tell the communists. I'm like, man, get out of here, dude. They're right wing. I mean, come on, man.
And by the way, man, there is a host on Fox News that keeps making references to to Bernie Sanders, having Nazi tendencies and like stuff like that, man. This is so insulting, given the fact that some members of this dude's family were wiped out by the Nazis. You know,
that's bro. Get that Chris Matthews so crazy ass.
well, him too. Yeah. What's going on, Reggie?
What's happening? What's happening, peoples?
So, what are your thoughts so far, man? I mean, Bernie won Nevada, your state. You know what I mean? So Nevada made the right choice, but what are your thoughts, bro? Like in regards to his win, and how do you think he'll do in South Carolina?
I thought it was an excellent win. As a matter of fact, he should have won last year. They had a damn near brawl over what they try to pull in the caucus when he ran against Hillary. A lot.
Yeah, they gave him the super delegates.
Yeah, they did a lot of suspect stuff that caused people to really turn against the establishment. This is where the matter of fact, this is where the Democratic Party the establishment is starting to suffer because of what they did the last time. And then what turned out of Iowa, it almost seemed like the same thing was going on. So a lot of people are really, really hitting the grounds for showing their support of them. I think a lot of these other political people are so out of touch to where they think they can pour money into this thing. Money has, the more that young folks begin to start getting into this political process, because the way for America to run politics is to marginalize and keep some people out of this whole, this enterprise of free vote. They find their ways of keeping people out. But now people like Bernie, his campaign team are doing an incredible job of waking up young folks, getting them out here, campaigning, showing up to these rallies and things, and it's firing up the people, along with using this, this negative energy from Trump as being a driver for what changes needs to happen in this country. Because, and you speaking about people using commie, people don't even understand why they use those terms. Like, what is a communist? What's bad about it? Socialism, what's bad about it? People don't look into that thing. They've been taught, programmed and bred to believe in capitalism over everything, and capitalism or death type of stuff. That's old way thinking. Like we live in a different world. Capitalism is too corrupt driven, too corporate driven, and it's crazy that people still have these mindsets to where they think they can tear people down by calling them communism. That shit worked during the McCarthy era. This time and age is different. They want to privatize everything, and it just can't be that way. I think a cat like Bernie Sanders is really what this country needs. This country needs to replace billionaires who only have, bottom line type mindsets. They can care less about the rest of this country. It's almost, for years, America hasn't been a country. America's been a corporation. But I think he's good blood, even though he's an old man, but he's a new type of vibe for this country when it comes to politics.
Look, man, this country does have socialism. It has socialism for the rich. Okay, it does. When they talk about, oh man, Bernie's just going to come in here and spend a bunch of money on free college and all these free stuff. But, we're already spending money. We're already at, $1 trillion in the hole in terms of having a $1 trillion deficit under this current administration. And Obama was just halfway better, okay, with a $500 billion, So this idea, like if we're going to be in debt, if we're going to have a $1 trillion, deficit and stuff like that, call me crazy. I'm not saying we shouldn't be responsible with the money that's spent and stuff like that, but I'd rather do it by, making sure we take care of sick kids and sick old people and people with leukemia and, all these deadly diseases. Make sure that they, get their, prescription medicines and all that. I'd rather, make sure every kid has an equal opportunity to get a higher education so they can get a better paying job, a better career. You know what I mean? And there's so many jobs out there, high paying jobs that are not filled. And we have to outsource these jobs because we don't have enough qualified people to do these jobs in this country. Everyone keeps, all these politicians keep, especially Republicans, they keep giving people this dream that these, quote unquote, great factory jobs are coming back and this, that, and this, the coal mining jobs and all this shit. We have really good, well-paying careers, good jobs that people could take, but we just don't have enough qualified people to do these jobs. We need to educate them. That requires college. Let's give the youth the opportunity to get to, get an education. If we're going to be $1 trillion in debt, I'd rather it be that, okay, over bombing kids in the other side of the world. Okay, we're bombing 14 countries right now. I could be off about that number, but ballpark, we're bombing over 10 countries right now. We're raising the military, industrial complex, the whole mentality behind it. It's getting insane. It's absolutely crazy. But everything's about framing. You can say, oh, he just wants to give away free stuff. If you think, hey, man, if you get sick, it's something, by the way, we're all going to pay taxes into it, by the way, okay? But that aside, if you think, hey, man, if you get leukemia, don't worry about it. You have enough to worry about having cancer. Okay, don't worry about the bill, okay? We got you. We're the richest country in the world, right? If that's giving away free stuff, right? People making it seem like we're just giving away toys and giving away cars to people, okay? It's health care. It's education. But what are your thoughts so far, Kelly? You there, Kelly? Well, we'll let, I think you're on mute there, Kelly. Well, go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, no, I think, this country is just so out of whack when it comes to a lot of what's put out there, man. Medicare should never be tied up in our medical, especially for kids and elders, should never be tied up into profit-driven motives to where you evaluating whether or not to approve certain procedures based on a person's condition, whether it's pre-existing, and then factoring in a bunch of thoughts on how much this person is causing the system and all this. Medical should be free, and especially when you got people who have no understanding. And this thing that bugs me with our system when it comes to the medical system, there are people with no medical backgrounds making this decisions on how our medical system runs. You got people like Trump who've done nothing but own properties with those kind of, not saying Trump alone, but it's been over the decades. People with Trump-like mindsets who set the standards for how medical systems run. Then they hooked in laws with their buddies who run insurance companies that determine what doctors can do, how much they're going to charge, what can be approved by this insurance. And I never understood insurances to where you got to look at insurances and value the different packages on insurance you want to take. At any moment, your health can change over fucking night, and you can ruin yourself forever. Like, so many people are sitting in debt, whether it's over owning. This is where America kills you. And this thing that bugs me as I think about it, the three drivers of what ruins people or drive them into debt is the most natural things that what used to be American dream. But medical would drive you into debt, cause people to committing suicide because they're in huge debts that they will never ever recover from because of privatizing this shit. Going into certain mortgages would drive you into goddamn huge debts that can kill you. And the reason why mortgages ends up killing you is not because you bought a house, but because of how out of whack our economy is when it comes to jobs, to where we speak on companies outsourcing jobs, not willing to pay people, wanting to break apart unions, not want to give these raises. So what do they come up with? Ways of streamlining the operations of a business to cutting people out of it so they can fill their damn pockets up. And when you think about corporations, for those who hear about this, the whole ideal behind a corporation is not what they do for their employees. It's not only what they do for the CEOs. This is what they do for the people who have shares in those companies. So it's all about Wall Street, and everything is starting to go over to the hands of Wall Street. And that's where shit has to be taken away from them. And most people bring up, well, the economy's doing this and the economy's doing that. No, it's not. How are you looking at the economy? You looking at it based on what the Dow and shit does on day to day. But when you really look in the streets of America and you speak to people on what the hell they're dealing with, you understand where this country is headed. And at any moment, even when the market hit, because everybody only pay attention when the market makes some correction, which
Right.
is what we call recessions and shit, is when people start to panic and wake up. But if you look at these things before they happen, you can fix it. But the problem is this capitalism shit. It's too much capitalism everywhere. I'm a vet, and even people talk about this patriotism and patriotic shit. Some of us who can go to the VA or this and that, we benefit off of a socialist type system, the way it works out. Even before Reagan and them took away all this, before they start deregulating a bunch of stuff, a lot of these industries, when people talk about the great days of how the airline industry was, trucking industries, there was a lot of subsidies that went into these industries and shit. And he pulled away when shit started getting competitive and workers weren't demanding too much and unions and this and that. And it was all an effort to break apart this stuff so people can stop asking for this and that, so he can line the pockets of his wealthy friends. Like, America really has to go through this wake up call. But this is where this revival in politics is good with what Bernie Sanders is on. I'm glad he's going to defeat the Democratic Party as well.
Well, I mean, we'll see about that. I just want to make sure that at least from my vantage point, I clear up some things, right? To me, everything's about balance. Okay. I don't think capitalism is bad if you allow capitalism, if you regulate, I should say, certain aspects of capitalism. Okay. They're like, for example, capitalism works if you don't allow monopolies. Okay, because competition, works that way with certain types of industries. Like, for example, you don't want one automobile company to exist. You want multiple automobile companies to exist, right? I'm even a capitalist myself, in terms of allowing exported vehicles to be sold here. I'm not one of those isolationists that doesn't think Toyota should be sold here and stuff like that. I do believe it should be sold here because it raises the game altogether for these industries. I do think with a certain balance. However, when it comes to, certain things like health, right? Things that is like healthcare, I don't believe capitalism is the way to handle that, because capitalism is inherently, made to make as much profit as possible. There's a profit motive where that should not be the number one thing we should be looking at. When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to healthcare, we got to look at what we could do collectively to make sure that sick people are taken care of, to make sure no one goes bankrupt because they got sick or something like that. But that's how I feel in terms of capitalism. I don't think capitalism, it's, I don't like corporatism. I think I have an issue with that. But there's certain aspects of capitalism that are okay. However, when it comes to certain things, Washington especially caters a lot to these large corporations that give them, donations and contributions, which is why I think money should be taken out of politics, because they do pick and choose winners and losers. They do pick and choose who they bail out, who they do not bail out. I mean, capitalism, by nature, you should not bail anyone out in terms of, a corporation. If that corporation fails, okay, you should allow it to fail. You don't bail it out, because regular people like you and me, Reggie, like, if we blow our check, okay, the government's not going to come in and bail us out. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, I want to ask you about this. Are you there, Kelly? I think Kelly stepped off for a little bit. He'll be back. I want to ask you about this because Kelly was talking about pay for play. But what do you think of the new praise for pardon? Like, you have people that are tactically praising Donald Trump, attacking former head of the FBI, Richard Comey, and Mueller, and publicly doing it, to impress Trump. And in return, Trump is releasing criminals that those guys locked up, right? I mean, this is absolutely insane. And I've always, by the way, have had an issue with the pardon, being able to pardon somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the president has always had that power, and I do understand the constitutional reason behind that. However, I've always felt that in order for a pardon to go through, Congress should approve the pardon. But that aside, what do you think of Donald Trump just pardoning the hell out of just about anyone who is willing to come out and support him and attack the people that are his political rivals, like Richard Comey and Robert Mueller and stuff like that? What are your thoughts behind that?
My thoughts behind it is to show people the seriousness of how it shows people how serious it is about getting out there and vote. And it shows people the true power of this office. Because for so many damn years, I've heard that presidents are puppets and this and that. And Donald Trump is showing everybody that that's been false as hell, and you've been duped and fooled into believing that. But it just shows, man, this dude has no moral compass. He has his mindset to where he functions like a dictator. He does whatever he wants. He's above everything, and his incivility. I mean, I can't even say whatever the fuck. But invincibility comes from what comes out of him avoiding this impeachment. How he has so many people that are loyal to him, so he's been able to work his way over into putting the people in Washington in the palm of his hands, and he's been able to do whatever he wants. So he can go about freeing whoever he wants. I think it's buffoonish, but this is the power that comes from this office, and it shows why it's so critically important to get out here and vote. It ain't just even with the pardonings that he's going about doing it. It's what the other folks in Congress have set up, because now he has this true monopolized power in Washington. He's probably one of the most powerful presidents we've seen in a long time, just based on what he has from Congress that controls this one section of Congress and shit. So he's been able to maneuver and do whatever the hell he wants. And along with him having political control over the Supreme Court, when he came in the office, this is what added to this tremendous power that he sees. Is he comes in here and he gets to nominate 2 Supreme Court justices, and some with questionable past, who fall in line with being loyal, as long as he ain't going too out of control with some of the stuff he's going about doing, but they're still going to fall in line with Trump type policies in that Supreme Court. And now he controls who he puts in place for the top sheriff lawmaker in this country. It just shows like this is no goddamn game. He makes appointments into these courthouses, which affects people, whether it affects your housing, those who have to use other government assistance. This dude's cutting it. It's no game, man, in what he's doing. And Blagojevich should have been the last person anybody would have thought to be released. But you knew what the deal was when that Arizona sheriff went to jail. I don't think the dude served a month before Trump pardoned.
Yeah, but it's like comical and obvious. Like, I think the wife came out and criticized Richard Comey, and like Trump liked that. You know what I mean? And then this dude defended Trump and some, like, I don't know, like he wrote something. I forget exactly what. But
we not into Trump. If you praise Trump, you praise Trump, you get, you know what I mean? You go ahead. That's how you benefit. If you praise Trump, you praise Trump, he loves you. He loves to be praised. So all of a sudden he starts to like you.
If I ever get arrested, bro, I'm going to write nonstop about how great Trump is. Okay. But in all seriousness, what are your thoughts overall, Kelly, of this praise for pardon that is going on? It is something that's real right now.
It is. I mean, I'm not shocked by it. I mean, funny thing is Kim Jong-un has figured out if you just, pat Donald Trump on the head, if you stroke his ego, it's the best way to get in. And all of a sudden, if you heard him when Kim Jong-un was just praising him, all of a sudden Donald Trump said, you know what, he's a good guy. And he's just amazing. If you say something nice about him, he likes you. It's just, I mean, if you tell him how great he is, or you tell him that he's good, You think he's a good guy? He does. He wants to be loved so bad. I'm gonna tell you this right now. If Hollywood praised Donald Trump, he will talk about how great Hollywood is. Dude wants to be.
Right.
He wants to be loved so badly. He can't stand being despised. He wants everybody to love him. For real, he wants to be accepted. He wants so badly to be accepted, and as among the elites. And
he has authoritarian tendencies, and I think everything you're mentioning is what makes him very dangerous.
Yes.
But man,
no, but it also makes him gullible to be played by. Remember Erdogan, Turkey's president. Look at how he played Donald Trump. He's a real strong man. He's also a very weak man. On top of that, he's a fake strong man, a fake tough guy. Who backs down to real strong man. So nothing surprises me about Donald Trump. Everything that he does he comes from weakness. What happens is that he's faked this whole tough guy image, which is why it's work. He fakes this whole alpha male personality, which is really not him. He's not an alpha male, man.
I was going to mention that was going to be my next kind of topic, and I want you to start us off with that, Kelly. What is this obsession with the right about talking about how much of an alpha Donald Trump is? Like, they go out of their way, like, he's an alpha, Bernie is a beta. I'm not going to vote for a beta. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the Democrats are betas, the Republicans are alphas, and you know what? Like, it works. Like just saying that works. So
it works. To be honest with you, bro, I think that a lot of the Democrats are betas too. They bow down to Republicans. They kowtow to Republicans, man. And it's funny thing is that people like, well, Bernie can never get anything passed. And it's like, so like the Republicans will block it, but of course, the Republicans will block it. So, we have to compromise to what the Republicans will allow it to pass. Meanwhile, the Republicans are the majority, and the Democrats are a minority, but not a huge minority. Republicans manage to cram as much shit through as they like. But it's funny thing how no matter what, we always have to bend heed to the will of bend to the will of the Republican Party, man. It just sounds like absolute bullshit, but it actually sounds like it's what the Democratic Party wants. It also is partially weakness. The Democrats are paid to be weak. That's what their corporate overlords want them to build, to kneel before Zod, which is kiss the Republican ring, as long as you don't really threaten the Republican, infrastructure, or I should say the corporate infrastructure too much, which the Republicans are set up to be the kings over that. Go ahead.
Well, and you're right. And I've always used the analogy of like, a lot of times I feel like these Democrats, they're like the Washington Generals and to the Harlem Globetrotters. You know what I mean? In terms of like they're just there to make the other side look good.
Even when they win, they lose, bro. I don't give a fuck if the Democrats have the presidency, the House, and the Senate. They still lose. We're like, well, what do the Republicans think? It's just amazing. Like, who gives a fuck? They have no power. Do what you want to do.
Like Hillary's obsession with reaching out to the Republican side, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it's unbelievable to me. But what I want to really get to is the following. Like,
what you're saying is right, because you need to stay on this one for a minute, because this goes to the point where Donald Trump was talking about. He's like, we're gonna fucking pass what we want to pass. I'm not gonna fucking reach over the aisle. We're gonna get done whatever the hell we want to get done, and it's gonna get done. And it's like, but you know what? His supporters got behind that. They like that. There's a lot of people who like authoritative figures, like guys, or at least who appear to be authoritative, guys who speak from strength, or at least appear to speak from strength. Because it's an appearance, it's an act by Donald Trump, but it works. And if you stand, this is where standing on something matters. Even though Donald Trump don't really stand for shit, he doesn't. He really really has no real principles or anything like that outside of wanting to steal from people, and that's outside of wanting to steal and getting a bunch of tax cuts. But he really doesn't have any core values at all. Yeah. Bernie Sanders has core values. He believes in something. He stands on his policies from a position of strength because he believes in them. Right. Something that the Democratic Party they're hollow because they don't believe in shit.
Yeah, but so there's this aspect, but there's also the aspect of like, if you look at Trump supporters, right? Like they'll have T-shirts on of Trump standing on top of like I'm sure you've seen it, right? Where he's standing on top of like a tank, and like he has no shirt on. He's holding the American flag, and it throws a little dig at Kaepernick. It'll say like "Stand for something, kneel only to God" or some bullshit like that, right? And these people will like sell these shirts and do a whole business of it. But when you look at it, like pictures of Trump with a muscular body, which he's never had, like bragging about how Trump used to play baseball, but then what's up with those bone spurs then? You know what I mean? Like if the dude was this manly figure that they say he was, he would have gone to Vietnam, right? I mean, and especially if he says he loves the country as much as he does, if he's the patriot he claims he is. I mean, let's keep in mind he is in the side that criticized Ali for not going to Vietnam. So why aren't they criticizing him? And plus he didn't give up anything. Daddy just paid off a doctor to say he had bone spurs.
Ali same thing reason Rush Limbaugh got out. Remember, Rush Limbaugh got out for this because he had boils on his ass. He didn't have to go because he had boils on his ass, so he got out for the same reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just gave him a fucking medal too. Like, well, what a hero, by the way. Okay, but what are your thoughts on the right and their obsession with Trump being alpha, Reggie?
Me, I think it's a bunch of idiotic shit, man. America's always traditionally try to hold this stance of being an alpha type society. I don't even like using that word, but being macho or being I can't use the word but I use the bitch made word, which works for me. I don't know this alpha and beta stuff, but that's what it is. America's always held up the cowboy type standard, the general type standard. They always want guys to represent them who comes from what America has built is this macho image. Even when it comes to how America goes about nominating CEOs, usually slender and tall built type folks. That's traditional what they want as far as representation and leadership. And everything's just about imagery in this country, and they have to play it that way. But how can someone in their damn 70s be classified as anything macho? I just don't get it. It just shows to the dumbed down standards of American society. But that's all I think on that one, man. It means nothing. It's just playing into an old age. Our politics is so ancient, man. It's still dated into, we do a lot of customs dated back from the 1800s on things, and it's just been able to make its way through because people have not challenged anything. Even when it comes to about how the Republicans use this macho stuff, when it comes to the Democratic side, they don't challenge anything, but we nominate too many whole like Democratic type people because we go for more intellectual types, but all intellectuals ain't got to be cowards. And the person that represents my district from where I come from is Maxine Waters, and she the only one in Congress on the Democratic side that has heart, that stands for anything and gonna speak her truth. But other than that, I don't buy into this macho or whatnot. Trump's a hoe. He gonna always be a hoe. The money and influence has brought about power within this country, and people stay in line because with Trump having he has no standards, no morals, no ethics when it comes to things, but he's in this position to where he would change the laws that benefit all these folks who are business minded. All these folks are business minded people, and he will go about easing a lot of the laws, and the laws that affect rich people are tax laws, and that's the first thing he went after changing for him. But yeah, that's all I got on that one.
Let me say one thing real quick. Your congresswoman is Maxine Waters. Mine is Barbara Lee. She was the only congressperson to vote against the Iraq War, and also to vote against changing the War Powers Act, which gave the president of the United States ability to pretty much declare war on himself or attack another country from an offensive standpoint instead of from a defensive standpoint, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Man, for those that are listening right now, make sure you just press that like button, and I got to tell you, man, I think a lot of people, like, depending on what you're looking at, if it's a boxer, if it's a politician, if it's a lawyer, if it's a construction worker. Like you're looking for different characteristics, and I think people just look at the wrong thing when it comes to like a leader, like a political leader. You know what I mean? Like, do you want a political leader that is smart and has good values and good morals, or do you want a political leader that is a very strong and can bench press 450 pounds? Like I honestly don't care if they can bench press 450 pounds or not. I don't care if they can't bench press shit. Okay, I want an intelligent leader. I want someone who has good morals and that stands for something. That's what I want. Okay, and Kelly, the next topic I want to go to something you mentioned earlier. Trump wants to be loved, and he, all this stuff. He wants Hollywood to love him. He wants the establishment to love him. He's kind of gone against him, because the only people that will love him are his current supporters. But if it was possible for Trump to switch his supporters from the blue states to the red states, right, where he would like New York would love him, California, all the cool major cities like Chicago and New York, where cities that matter. Yeah, I guess. All bullshit aside, you know what I mean? If he could switch his support, right, I think he would do it in a second. Do you agree with that?
Hell yeah. Oh, no doubt. He wants to be accepted by Hollywood so badly, man. He wants to be one of the important people. He wants to be accepted by athletes. It bothers him when athletes don't want to spend time with them after they win the championship. So what he does is he preemptively cancels, meetings or being invited to the White House because he's just so insecure. And the whole Obama didn't care. I mean, there was plenty of athletes who didn't want to go spend their time with Obama, and Obama didn't give a fuck, man. If you didn't show up, you didn't show up. I remember this Netflix went to me and this Tim, I think it was Tim Smith, what's his name? I forgot his name. Used to be goalie for the Boston Bruins, and he didn't want to go. And he didn't want to go, and he said that Obama was a communist, and Obamacare is clearly a sign of communism. Obama's trying to, enact Nazi Germany on the United States. I'm like, man, these people are fucking retarded, man. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, but I mean, it's the other situation where Donald Trump really just wants NBA players to love him, wants NFL players and Major League Baseball players and hockey players to love him, and boxers and I don't movie directors.
How reports came out that he would make fun of Jeff Sessions and his accent and stuff like that.
That shit was funny. He called him Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, he doesn't like you guys, bro. He doesn't like his supporters. Okay, he plays along with you because you're giving him power. Of course, he's gonna, go to the rallies. But dude, I guarantee you, that dude gets in his plane. It's like, oh fuck, I'm glad I'm out of there. You know what I mean? I just don't think he likes his people at all.
No, that's what he's calling Mr. He's sitting there calling Jeff Sessions. He said, I don't understand why Mr. Magoo is supposed to work for me. I don't get it. I mean, that's why I got him. I made sure that I put him in my cabinet because he works for me. He's supposed to be my personal life. Why wouldn't he cover up my crimes? I'm breaking the law every day. Just protect me. Protect me. I know that I just wipe my ass with the Constitution daily. I mean, well, really every fucking 5 minutes, 5 seconds. But you know what? If it would be nice if he would just break the law on my behalf. I mean, that's what you are, Jeff Sessions. I know technically, I know it says in the Constitution you're supposed to work for the people of the United States, but I don't give a fuck about that. Protect me. Cover up my crimes. You're not going to cover up my crimes. He got pissed off when he decided. Remember, he said he was going to bow out and he was going to let an independent party investigate. And he was like, "No, you're supposed to protect me." And that's all he cared about. He cared about all those crimes that he was committing. And Donald Trump knows he's a criminal. But he wanted Jeff Sessions to cover up his crimes. And when Jeff Sessions decided to bow out to him, that was him betraying and not being loyal. And it's just some sick shit. This dude, it really has this thing about you must take a blood oath to him. Now, he doesn't have to be loyal to you because you throw those people under the bus regularly. But you better be loyal to him, goddammit. I'm telling you this right now. You better be loyal. Hey, kiss his ass.
Authoritarian tendencies is what he has.
Yes, that is. He has a real fascist streak in him. The guy, well, that's not fascist streak. The fuck is a fascist, man. The guy's a proto-fascist. He would love. Remember, he's already stated before. He said, if I wish I could be a dictator, man, it'd be so much easier if I was a dictator. I mean, who says shit like that, man? It just because he really would like to trade places. He says that Kim Jong-un has it easy. People just do whatever he wants. He could say whatever he wants gets done. It's like, the fuck, dude? Did he want to be a dictator? And he really envies Kim Jong-un. And he said he's a great guy. And I'm like, fucking dude's mad. Fucking murdered his own uncle and shit. Go ahead.
What do you think? What do you think? I want to ask both of you guys this. What do you think Donald thinks when he hears like these preachers call him like the second coming and God's chosen and stuff? Because he don't believe in that shit. That dude, I believe in the Bible. Okay, what do you think? What do you think he thinks of him? Because these people, Kelly.
I remember he retweeted it when this dude saying that, God called upon Donald Trump to be what is it? What they call again? The prophet. He said Donald Trump's the prophet of the Lord. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, man. Listen, who can follow this shit and not want to stop? I would stop. If I was a religious person, I'd stop voting for that dude just for that shit. I'm like, look, I'm not going to be a member of your church anymore, and I'm not voting for this fucker anymore. You guys are evil. You guys are the Antichrist. If I was a religious person, but since I'm not a religious person, I would just do it anyway because I wouldn't pay attention to the dude's full of shit. But Donald Trump, he likes it though. Yeah, he likes it because it speaks highly of him. So if you're saying that he was he's here to be the prophet, he's here to send the message for everybody. He's here. He was sent by God.
He knows it's bullshit though. Like
he knows it's bullshit, but he's still stroking his ego. He said you're stroking his ego, and that's what he cares about. In the day, he's such an insecure little bitch. Mm-hmm. And that's what he needs to be patted on the back every day. How kids are in daycare and preschool and shit. You're in kindergarten, you got to take a nap, you get your cookie, and you get patted on the back and shit like that. That's Donald Trump. You're like, good little boy, good boy. You're like, yes, thank you, like a little dog. It's like a little dog. He needs to be petted on a regular basis and told how cute he is or something like that, how much you love him. Look at that little baby, look at you. That's Donald Trump needs that daily. Really, probably every 5-10 minutes. He's like, how come you're not praising me? He has to say some shit, something stupid. But one thing I'll give Donald Trump credit for, he has good names for people. He's good at marketing. The marketing, the way he does, like Crazy Bernie, Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary was fucking hilarious. I ain't gonna lie. Donald Trump is horrible, but the fucking guy, am I wrong for feeling this way? He's fucking hilarious, man. He's terrible for the country, but some of the shit he does is fucking comedy.
I agree with you. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Reggie? What do you think he thinks when they're calling him a prophet and shit like that?
It goes straight to his head, man. I think it goes straight to his head. A lot of his base is surrounded by the influence of these churches. So for these church leaders to make comments like that, they view him like that. And I see it all the time because where I work at, I'm around seniors, and a lot of them buy into what the old belts, and even out here living here, they have this old Bible Belt mindset. So when they hear any religious leader, because they're all Christian, any of these Christian leaders state this, it's a powerful voice that adds into the influence of belief of how they hold Trump. I ought to record some of this shit I hear on the daily coming from some of these people about Trump. It's almost like they're worshiping a damn god, and it's like crazy, man. I'd be wanting to smack the shit out of some of these people, but he bathes in it, man. He washes himself when he hears this stuff because it just adds to his power, influence, and it adds to what egotistical people need to hear. He has to hear these type of things and to hear it from people who hold such power over other people, and then now they're praising this guy. Shit, he feels like a king, and he does behave like a dictator. Absolutely, in the most powerful country, he gets to kind of play, even though he may not be, but in his mind, some people play things in their mind. They, you know how you ever come across a person who thought they were greater than what they really are? This is how it plays out to Trump. He's greater than he's greater than what he really is in his mind.
You said he's a cult leader, man. You just called him Jim Jones. That's what you just called him.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
That sounds about right. Shout out to everybody. B&B, if you want to come on and defend the Bible when we get to that, by all means. But
oh Lord.
But I want to switch gears here. Kelly, what are your thoughts about the neglect in terms of, you know, people talking about climate change? It's not talked about. In fact, we have plenty. I think Reggie doesn't think it's real, but maybe I'm wrong. But you know, people that just don't even think it's real. Climate change.
Yeah, it's sick, man. I mean, there was just a block of ice that contained a ridiculous amount of water in it, man. There was one, I think it's the one that had like, I think it was 4 billion gallons of water, some fucking insane like that. I need to go back and check, but I'm just me guesstimating right now, but just insane, bro. Imagine this though. Let's just say I'm wrong. Let's just say it's a billion gallons of water, bro, from ice that leaked, that melted into the ocean, bro. I mean, if that continues to happen, we're gonna have eventually have over X amount of years, gonna have like 4 feet of new ocean. On the ocean level is gonna be about 4 feet higher than what it should be, which is gonna definitely put a lot of islands in danger, coast of countries in danger. We're already having, South Florida flood without raining. We're already having, what is it? What was that? What was the what's the name of that little city again over there in Italy? Flood, Venice.
Venice.
Yeah, Venice. Yeah, Venice floods all the time as well. We know that Jakarta's sinking in due to the abundance of water that has come in. So that the largest building in Jakarta is sinking into the ground. The evidence is here, man. It's abundantly clear that we're having issues. The conveyor belt that runs between Greenland and the United Kingdom is slowing down. It's going to cause the Greenland to become hot. And it's going to cause the UK to go to fucking freeze. That conveyor belt is what prevents the UK from freezing. It just so many things are changing. Parts of Canada, which has been inhabitable, is melting and becoming habitable. And we're finding new wildlife, and then some of the like fossilized plants are now around and out and shit like that now, or living and breathing now. We just all kinds of shit is happening, man, which is pretty much obvious. I mean, most of the earth is on fire. We have a locust problem on the eastern part of, in Eastern Africa. In East Africa, we have a huge locust issue, which is causing famine in East Africa. I mean, literally, and Africa's also on fire. Australia's on fire. Antarctica's on fire. Of course, California's on fire every year. Then, of course, you got Brazil is on fire. Other parts of South America's on fire. And we're supposed to act like none of this shit's happening. And it just, it's sickening, man. Even parts of Asia is on fire. And it just seems like there's no end in sight for this. And I was reading about some of the changes going to happen in an article. I don't know if I think I might have sent it to you. I forgot. I think I might have sent it to you on Twitter in your inbox. But the article stated how in the future, the western part of the United States is going to be drier. We're gonna have much shorter winters. So California's winters are gonna be cut short, and we're gonna go pretty much straight into spring earlier every year. And summers are gonna be longer, and that means that the Sierra is gonna be dried out, and that means that the Sierra is gonna be on fire. And we have a lot of trees there, and we know for a fact that plants are responsible for oxygen. Or oxygenize and making sure that oxygen is part of the Earth's atmosphere, of course, you know what I'm saying? So all the oxygen in the United States, all the oxygen on Earth, sorry about that. All the oxygen on Earth is provided by plant life, whether it's in the ocean or it's on land, all that plant life. It's important that we protect the plant life. And for whatever reason, greed doesn't give a shit because most of the fuckers that don't care about it are 60, 70, 80 fucking years old. And they feel like I'll fucking pass away. So I won't have to deal with climate change because hell, all I care about is power. And it's corrupting as fuck, man, to the point that they know that climate change is real, but they don't give a shit. And I'm like, if you don't think climate change is real, then why the fuck do you farmers get pissed off when you, especially like, remember farmers in Texas, and at one point it wasn't raining and they were crying, and I'm like, well, we don't understand. I'm like, fucking climate change. You got a drought over there. You haven't had any rain. It's climate change, dumbass.
Right.
I mean, why can't you seem to understand that we have the same thing that happened in California, where you had a bunch of the farmers in Southern California and Central California pissed off and saying, why don't you tell Jerry, at the point Jerry Brown, that we can't afford to conserve water, tell them to release the water and stop penalizing us. It's like, bro, we have no choice, man. He said, I want to be able to rush and use as much water as I like, and all this other bullshit, man. These farmers are like, well, we're losing money and shit like that, but we don't have we can't afford to be using up all this water. So, I mean, but then they all say that climate change is fake. It's a hoax. It's
well,
like,
here's what I want to say though. So at first they would argue it's fake. You know what I mean? 100%. That's what the paid off. Okay. You know when they say, 99% of scientists say it's real, other 1%. Well, it's no coincidence that the ones that you look at that say climate change is not real, oh, by golly gee, look at this. Okay, you could actually see that they were paid off by ExxonMobil, all right, to say that. You think it's a coincidence that the industries that should be outdated by now, well, we need to get past fossil fuels, but what a coincidence that, and by the way, ExxonMobil knew about it. Okay. What a coincidence that the ones paid off. I do want to address this really quick. Logic, I have no idea why your screen name is Logic. Okay. Because you're not showing any logic. And to be honest with you, I don't think you're being very sincere. Okay. In what the things you're saying. All right. So Bernie Sanders is a hypocrite. Okay, by raising awareness about climate change, he's a hypocrite because he flies a private jet. Is what you're saying?
Hold on, and that private jet is paid for his campaign donate, which I've donated to his campaign.
You know what he's saying? Though? He's saying that he's adding carbon emissions. Like Bernie Sanders would have to fly that plane for 1 billion years. Okay, for it to have that plane alone, okay, to have some negative effect on the climate. I mean, come on.
Let me say something. Bernie Sanders doesn't own any mansions, bro. His house are actually just modest size homes, man. It's the reason their homes are worth more because they're based off of because they live off by water. One is next to a lake, and on top of that too. He received his wife when her parents died. His wife received a sum of money due to, I believe, like life insurance and shit like that, man. Of course, and property as well. They inherited the house. They inherited the house from her mom. I mean, from his wife's parents. So
I heard it's like a little shack too.
It's small, man. It's small. The house they live in isn't that big. I mean, the house that they live in is not even I think it's like maybe 2,000 square feet or something like that. Bernie Sanders isn't rich. He's the only reason he's considered a millionaire is for the simple fact that his homes together and a sum of money that he got from his wife's parents dying is the reason why. So the value of all of his assets and money is $2.2 million, man. So it's his homes are the majority of his money, and of course sum of money that he got from his wife.
So he has a home in DC because that's where he works from, right? And he has a home in Vermont because that's the state he represents. Okay,
no, he doesn't. He has an apartment in DC, and his wife owns her parents' home. So that's why him and his wife were $2.2 million.
Dude, people are acting like if you support Bernie's policies, you're against anybody being a millionaire, which just isn't true. Okay, which proves that they don't even understand the policies that the guy's trying to pass through. All right. And climate change is an issue. And if you drive a car, it doesn't make you a hypocrite. Okay. If everyone who believes in climate change, okay, stop driving the vehicles, only ones that are accessible and that we could actually buy, okay, none of us would get to work. Okay, we wouldn't be able to live life. Okay, we wouldn't be able to pay our bills. Okay, stop being stupid. All right.
But let me ask you something, D-Style. How does it make any sense? So I guess he should float? So he should try to catch a train to campaign stops. It doesn't make any sense. He has to try to go campaign in the multiple cities, and the quicker way to do it is to take a plane. So it doesn't. What you're saying is stupid, dude. The whole ideal, though, long term, is to try to build high speed rail, the things that combat climate change, man. To try to make changes. So he's definitely trying to change, raise the emissions and trying to take away or at least reduce the carbon that's put in the atmosphere. And yes, hydraulic fracking is worse than actually it's known to be worse than fucking coal and gas. And matter of fact, it's also known to be worse than what's the other shit now? We're not just coal, but fossil fuel. So oil. Right. Fracking is actually worse. It's one of the dirtiest forms of fuel that we have in this country. That we're not in this country, but globally, it's one of the worst ones. And the way it's getting it is horrible.
Shout out to Turov for TVs. FDR was a millionaire, but he was a champion of the common man and introduced policies which helped create the formerly robust middle class. He did. Okay, we had child labor before that shit. Okay, I mean, and by the way, he was called a socialist for passing Social Security. Right? I mean, but those are the attacks. You could find the ribbons and all the campaign stuff that they did against FDR. They called him a socialist. All right, because he wanted old people to have a safety net when they retire. But just real quick to logic, Man and Water said it. You cannot provide us micro solutions. Okay, when something that needs a macro solution. Right. And let me just tell you right now, if every single person that believes in climate change, okay, stop driving their cars, using emissions and all that other good stuff. Okay. If everyone tomorrow just stopped immediately, let's leave aside the fact that they wouldn't be able to function in this current society that we were born into. Okay. One, leaving aside the fact that we want to fix that. So that's not an issue. Leaving all that aside. Okay, if everyone just stopped driving their vehicles, if Bernie Sanders stopped flying his plane, and all that other stuff, okay, it would not stop, okay, what we're seeing right now, because it's the fossil fuel companies that are causing a vast majority of the damage being made, okay? I mean, logic, like I know that you use the name logic. It's kind of like if I say, I am against, or I want to get rid of poverty. Let's find some solutions so people don't live on the streets. And then you come back to me and you say, well, let them on your house, D-Style. Do you have a spare room? If you have a spare room, why don't you let some poor people live in your spare room, D-Style? Like, that's not going to resolve the problem, dude. Okay? Him using his private plane to then eventually pass policies that's going to reduce carbon emissions is going to have a better effect than him stopping using his plane, right? But go ahead, Callie, before I let Reggie back in.
Yeah, and that's what to respond to John LeJeune. You're talking about some camp stuff like that. Bernie Sanders didn't even become a millionaire until after his wife inheritance came back in due to the deaths of her parents and stuff like that, man. So at the end of the day, man, you know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff, Bernie wasn't even a millionaire until like 4 years ago, man. It's crazy. So technically he's only a millionaire due to assets. He doesn't have $1 million cash on hand, bro. He doesn't have $1 million cash in his bank account. So you guys look at this dude. It's like some super wealthy dude. And $2.2 million ain't even all that rich in reality now, man. It's not even
member of Congress, bro. He's the poorest
by far.
Okay.
By far,
and also most of his wealth is accumulative, okay, for what they pay senators. And like you said, Callie, what his wife inherited. Okay, I mean, this is absolute nonsense. Okay, if your argument is Bernie should just give it all away, then you don't understand Bernie's, the arguments he's making. He's not asking anyone to give everything away. Okay, he's asking wealthy people to pay a higher percentage in taxes. Right? It would be nice if we could go back to the Eisenhower days, but he's not even wanting to go that high. Right?
Not even close. Not even close. And you know, it's funny thing because people go crazy over Bernie's policy. Like, oh my God, how dare Bernie Sanders want to extend public college all the way to, public education to college. We know we already have socialism. We already have socialist education, K through 12. Only thing he's asking to do is extend it all the way through your senior year in college. The horror. Oh, and he wants to make sure everybody has health care. The horror. He's not asking for the government to take over your business, to take over everything else. He just wants to make sure that people have health care and have education, and that people aren't going broke, and that people don't die because they don't have health care, or for people to lose their home due to health care and things of that nature. And he wants to make sure that prescription drugs are affordable. I mean, you guys, it's just amazing how people like, fuck that shit. Hell no. I don't want to make sure that I keep my little $12 an hour job. You know, I only make about $13,000 a year. I fuck Bernie Sanders for trying to make sure that I have more money in healthcare and shit. Fuck that. I don't want to have healthcare. I want to be poor and broke and die of cancer.
Wage, because if you raise the minimum wage, the guy that makes less than me is going to make the same as me now.
Well, you don't understand this, D-Style? I wanted to make sure that my boss, that he bought a new yacht next year. And I can't do that if Bernie Sanders is giving me health care. Right. So, and how dare he try to help me out? I want to make sure that the CEO of my company, that he gets to buy whatever he wants more. Fuck if us poor people get any. We don't deserve shit. This is the mindset of these people. These people don't understand, but this is exactly what they're standing for. They don't want shit. They're like, they just hear stupid terms like, oh my God, socialism, communism, because you guys have been, brainwashed for years. You scare tactics, and they use those words as scare tactics to scare your ass away. Not understand what the fuck that it means. We already have a fucking social democracy. Bernie Sanders is a social democrat. The same thing that Denmark has, that pretty much every Western nation have socialist policies. What the hell do you think your fire department is, your police department, your military? We live in a social democracy. A social democracy is an economy which is mixed with democracy, capitalism, and socialism. We live in a mixed fucking economy. We've been living in this mixed economy, you guys. Wake the fuck up.
Let me use before I go to Reggie, let me use the Bernie Sanders using a private jet, okay, to stop, global climate change analogy in a way conservatives will understand. Okay, you know how you guys talk about the bad guys with the gun and the good guy with the gun? Okay, like the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. All right, so Bernie is the good guy in the jet. Okay, he needs to add to climate change. It's just a little speck. All right, in order to travel around and campaign and give himself a maximum chance of winning the election. This way, he can be the good guy with a quote-unquote jet, right, to pass laws and have a greater impact on all these things, is what I will say. I believe Callie's coming back in here. But Reggie, man, I know you've been on the sideline for a little bit. Give us some of your thoughts so far, bro.
Yeah, that thing what Logic put out, man, was a senseless slight on Bernie about the private jet thing, on almost him not preaching what he I don't know what the hell he meant, but to even speak on him flying private jets and climate change, I think private jets are way more fuel efficient than flying commercial. So he's putting less carbon emission to the atmosphere than he would if he flew a commercialized jet. So Logic, you didn't think when you were making that statement. And a lot of people on this climate change shit is fake don't pay attention to anything. Because I remember growing up in the era, and this is where people who buy into what is coming from industry, like you're bringing up, the 1% is always the ones trying to go against this scientific proven theory about climate change. When I was a kid coming up, we were dealing with this CFC, where they were putting chemicals in a lot of aerosol cans and other things that were tearing a hole through the ozone layer and causing a lot of thing was causing something with sun radiation coming into Earth, heating up the Earth and creating all this. And this is all due to humans humans combustion of different sources of shit. We pulling stuff out the ground that belongs in the ground. It ain't meant for us to be mining the earth for so many hazardous things, and it goes up into the atmosphere, and it's creating this bubble to where it's a greenhouse type effect on this country because we're smogging it. When you look at before they change environmental laws, and this is how critical things got, but a lot of people ain't just because they're young. It's some old people who don't know some of this shit because they rather stay mindless and only accept answers that's given to them. But I remember coming from LA, where LA at one point was the smoggiest place in the goddamn world, I believe. And it was so bad in LA to where today I can see downtown from like my house. If I stood in the driveway to this day, I can see the downtown buildings. I can see the Hollywood sign. Back in the 80s growing up, there was so much pollution in LA. You could not see downtown. You could not see the Hollywood sign unless it rained. And after the rain left, the next day, you ain't gonna see a goddamn thing. And then on top of this, the CFC gas things, but it caused so many health health effects with people that were living in LA. Asthma was at a high rate, and other lung conditions were just at a super high rate. But this changing in our climate, we're getting longer winters, colder winters, hotter summers, longer summers. The oceans are heating up. I remember also growing up where we had the El Nino effect because of the ocean being warm and creating these storms that created this issue to where we was getting during this El Nino effect they had in the 90s out there, we got where it rained for about 3 weeks straight or something like that. It was like a crazy condition. Even out here in Vegas, we're getting weird weather. Snowing out here, super cold. It's cold right now. It's unbelievable what the weather is doing, but it's condition of what humans are doing, and humans are doing a lot of things of destroying this earth, deforest this tearing down I can't get my words out, but tearing across rainforest and things like that, tearing away vegetation, all this overdeveloping this stuff, and it's creating where this earth, this planet, this is a living planet, but the planet can't do its normal cycles of cleansing itself of some of this stuff. We're taking away trees, burning off unnatural chemicals. Think of your own body as a damn planet. You burn certain chemicals in it, it's gonna F you up. And that's the same way this planet reacts to stuff.
Absolutely. We got Too Raw for TV. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, man? Long time no hear, ain't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what are your thoughts on the whole? Why is Bernie flying a private jet and living in 3 houses and all that?
I mean, I don't know, man. In my opinion, it's just like, I guess it's basically like they're trying to make him out to be a hypocrite. How dare you attack, the so-called elite when you're one of us, when in reality, when you look at the lifestyle and the average wealth of, especially for someone like him who's supposedly a long time, politician. He's been a congressperson for what, 20, how long has he been in Congress now? Like 20, 25, 30 years?
Yeah.
Usually most of those guys are multi-millionaires, like 15, 20 million, especially a high-profile politician like him. But for him to be only worth $2 million, like the other guy said, the other gentleman said, most of that wealth coming from his spouse, you can pretty much tell that that's not really his goal. It's not really his goal. His goal isn't to attain personal wealth. Everything about Bernie Sanders, from his appearance, just from his rhetoric over the past 30 to 40 years, everything about him screams that he is about his belief, his ideology. He strongly believes in his viewpoints, and it's his vision that draws people to him. It's not Bernie Sanders' appearance. It's not, he's not the most, photogenic person in the world, but that doesn't matter with Bernie Sanders. It's about what he believes in, and they're scared of that. So they're trying to make him one of them, or he's not what he really seems to be. The same thing they try to do with Al Gore. They try to shame him oh well, Gore, he talks about climate change, but he flies his personal jet and
Right.
all those types of scare tactics to try to make people not believe in Bernie Sanders.
I agree. And what's weird about those arguments that it doesn't disprove climate change. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're just trying to argue that he's a hypocrite for contributing to the climate change, but you're not arguing otherwise. So I wanted thoughts on something else that we talked about earlier is Trump's praise for pardon that's going on right now. Like, if you go out of your way to praise Donald Trump and attack Richard Comey, if he's the one that locked you up and stuff like that, I mean, Trump with glee is just coming out and just pardoning people.
What? So basically, he's trying to insinuate that because I haven't been privy to that. What is he trying to insinuate that if you come out, if you're in a situation where you're like if you're in legal issues or legal trouble, he might pardon you if you come out in favor of his administration? I haven't been privy to that one.
Okay. Yeah, he pardoned Reggie, what's the name of that politician again? The one that got locked up? The Democrat?
The former governor of Illinois, right?
Yeah, him. I couldn't remember his name, but he pardoned them.
Right.
And he pardoned them because he was defending Trump, and the wife came out.
Rob Blagojevich.
Yes. Just was too lazy to look it up, but yeah, and he has a weird name, but yeah, like it's obvious that this guy gets excited when someone supports him and attacks his political enemies, like a Richard Comey, for example.
Oh, well, yeah, with Trump, that's just an obvious sign of his pathology, man. I'm of the belief that Donald Trump is a sociopath, you know what I'm saying? And sociopaths love people who, for the most part, praise them, sing their praises, kiss up to them, and if you're asking me like what I think about Trump in that situation, then basically it just pretty much confirms what we know about the guys, that he pretty much is, I don't know. He's just I don't know, man. He's just not fit for office. I know that much, man.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win South Carolina?
At this point, if you take momentum into the equation, I wouldn't be surprised if Sanders won. Close. I know that one of the problems I think Joe Biden has is the last time around Hillary Clinton had a decisive edge in the African American vote, and that's one of the problems that Bernie Sanders had. He just didn't have any base of African Americans and minorities in general. That's not the case this time, especially with Latinos. So, like, I saw a poll recently where Biden still had a small plurality lead with African American voters in South Carolina, but it's being offset by Sanders, and I think that other guy that's running, like, what's his name, Tom Steyer.
Right.
So if I had to take a guess, I wouldn't be surprised if Sanders actually won next Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised, man. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, because look, man, I already know what the media's going to spin it. If Biden wins. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Biden has never won a state ever. All the times he ran for president.
No, he hasn't. You know what the problem with South Carolina is that the African American vote, the black vote, is divided through two generational lines. The boomers are backing Biden, and Steyer and Steyer, and the Gen Xers and the millennials are supporting Bernie. Bernie has the youth vote locked up, so it's generational, man. A lot of the boomers, man, are just. I'm sorry, but the boomers are selfish as fuck, man. They're responsible for the fuckery that's been done by the country. They voted based off of moronic beliefs and idiocy. The boomers are stupid fucking people who have destroyed the country, who have brought on climate change, who have been religious, believing in the bullshit Bible, and have set us back, many of years due to stupidity, going through the Cold War, and buying into a bunch of bullshit, and it's putting us in a situation where we had to have multiple jobs in order to survive. I'm talking about most of the people, scared of healthcare, scared of having, tuition-free college, as that's some type of crime. Obviously, if you listen to Chris Matthews, though, Bernie Sanders wanting everyone to have healthcare and not going to debt with college. That's clear that the Nazis are going to take over, and Bernie Sanders is trying to take us over into some type of communist dictatorship because he's trying to make sure that no one dies. Because right now we know there's 68,000 people a year die to not having healthcare or having insufficient healthcare. But obviously, though, it's more important for those 68,000 people to die so we can make sure that the communist Bernie Sanders doesn't take over because he's trying to give everyone health care and education. That must be stopped, according to idiots who don't know shit about communism, socialism, or Marxism or anything like that. Don't want to read about it. Hear about the words and use it wrong and don't give a fuck. Sad, man.
You know what killed me last time, man? It's 4 years ago in South Carolina, man. Because I remember Hillary just mopped the floor with Bernie Sanders in South Carolina last time. She won 75% of the vote or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, but you could argue that's ultimately why she won the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah,
because it just totally swayed the momentum. Because before that, Sanders had thoroughly beaten her in New Hampshire, but then she just crushed him in South Carolina. Then Super Tuesday happened, and then Sanders was never able to catch up. And then the super delegates were behind Hillary the whole time. Wasn't able to flip that. But the thing that killed me was, when you look at the history of the Clintons and her husband passing welfare reform, passing the crime bill was just so devastating to, in particular, African-American men around this country in the 1990s, unjustly going to prison for, reasons and for that their white counterparts wouldn't go, or at least the terms, their prison terms were much more severe than their white counterparts. And you look at all the harm they've done to the African-American community. But because this guy played a saxophone on fucking TV or whatever, I'm saying, does these stupid things that sometimes some of us in our community wrongly, worship, they're like a hero. They were like, they're looked upon positively with our community. But then you got Bernie Sanders, a guy who all the way back in the 1960s was protesting against police brutality back in the 60s. And here we are with this still being an issue in our community. And then you see, like you said, man, these people just like drones coming out voting for the Clintons. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that they did bring up the, remember the super predator comment in one of the debates?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then she basically acknowledged for anyone who's saying, oh no, that's not what she meant. She acknowledged it, and she apologized for it.
Yeah.
And then the media went out of the way to say, oh, see, she redeemed herself.
But you know what though? A lot of the politicians, especially the black politicians, were members from the boomer generation and the silent generation, backed Bill Clinton for that crime bill, man. A lot of the congressional black caucus got behind him. I mean, these stupid ass fucking people, like I said, at the end of the day, always backing shit that don't really benefit our people, man. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, bro, but Jim, people get excited about Jim Clyburn. What the fuck has he done? Poverty in South Carolina for black folks is still extreme. Black folks really had made too much progress in South Carolina. This fucking guy is a disaster, man. He's just an old establishment piece of shit. Nigga that people want to celebrate because he's been around forever. But like I said, you can't think of too much that he's done to really improve the lives of the majority of the people, which are his people, black folks in the state of South Carolina. South Carolina is one of the worst schools when it comes to education, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to pretty much everything. They're pretty close to being dead last. Like Mississippi and of course Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama are pretty much bottom of the barrel, but South Carolina is not too far behind. And so he sticks. This is what happens with Congress people. They know who to make friends with. They stick around forever, and people just continue to vote them in based off of name recognition for the rest of their lives. They may give a crumb here and there, and that's good enough for people instead of wanting more. And this is kind of sick shit. He should have been out of here. We need this guy out of here. But I know one guy waiting to replace him if he retires is Bakari Sellout, this old bum ass dude, piece of shit, hanging around here talking about Hillary's phenomenal, and now I like Elizabeth Warren, and now I like this guy. I think anybody but Bernie Sanders. I mean, Bernie Sanders is so awful. I mean, all Bernie Sanders wants to do is just be a communist. I mean, he's horrible, and he and his supporters, the Bernie Bros, they're so mean. Man, sit your stupid ass down, nigga. Get out of here, bro. I swear, I can't stand these people, bro. I can't. I'm so sick of the Bernie, because remember the debate was hilarious. It was like, the Bernie Bros are so mean. Why don't you do something, Bernie? What you do? I mean, because that's all they can attack him. They couldn't attack him on the policy because people like his policy. But Bernie, why don't you do something about your supporters? It's so mean. I mean, what they get mad at? They get mad at Bernie Sanders. They get mad at us because I participate in this shit, because I correct them. We correct them. They lie, and then we come with facts. And so they can be like, you're fun.
It's not just that. We not only correct them, we're not proper, and and we don't put respect in their name because we don't respect them. You know what I mean? Like it's getting like this whole Bernie bro thing, man. There ain't a dude alive. Okay, we have a president of the United States that has inspired white supremacists, okay, to walk into Walmart and shoot brown people. Right? Spare me if some Bernie bro is correcting you on some false fact or defending Bernie Sanders. I mean, this shit's unbelievable to me. And then they try to do an equivalency to Bernie supporters and Trump supporters. Well, maybe we need supporters with fucking cojones. Okay, maybe we need supporters that are going to fight back and are going to weaponize facts. How about that? Instead of weaponizing the Me Too movement style, instead of weaponizing identity politics, instead of weaponizing all that, maybe we should weaponize the facts and use them against Donald Trump and his campaign. But no, we can't do that, because let me tell you something. I've been telling people this for years. She won't go out there and say it publicly, but deep down, Hillary Clinton would rather see another 4 years of Trump than Bernie Sanders get elected. The same thing for Barack Obama. Okay, yep. Like when Chris Matthews speaks, believe me, he's in that same boat. When Bob Arum comes out and says, "I'll have to hold my nose and I'll have to vote for Trump if Bernie wins the election," you know why? Because there's one thing they love more than anything, and it's their fucking money. Okay,
yep, taxes
and their power. The power that they have as well. They don't want to lose that power. The Clintons want to continue to have an influence in elections and stuff like that. They'll deal with another 4 years of Trump, but they don't want to lose the entire party.
What killed that whole narrative about them being afraid of Donald Trump? When they decided to increase his war budget, and then they decided to help him pass a trade agreement. When you did that, everything else was null and void. I mean, if he's such a danger, if he's the most dangerous man in the history of Earth, in the history of the United States of America, why would you give him more money? Why would you give him more tools to go to war with? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Guys like that.
Yep.
Keep talking about how this danger, dude, I'll never forget Cory Booker's fake outrage when he found out that Trump said he called some countries like shithole countries, right? Which is an improper thing to say. I agree that's terrible. But like Cory Booker said, he was crying tears of rage. Is literally, he used the term, I was crying tears of rage when I found this out, and this man is horrible. And he went on a whole tangent. But just like the next day, the dude votes to increase the military budget for Donald Trump. You know, like I'm like, what are you doing?
Elizabeth Warren did the same thing, man. And she's out here talking about Donald Trump is horrible. He's so horrible that she wanted to give him more power. And also not just that, too. She wanted to give him more control over the ability to, assassinate people with drone strikes and shit like that, too. So they also gave him more rights for drone strikes in other countries. So it's like, if he's so dangerous, why the fuck would you give him more tools? It makes no sense whatsoever. That doesn't make any sense. If he's so scary, why would you give? You guys talked about how he was terrible when it came to free trade. Then why the fuck would you help him pass a free trade agreement if he sucks at when it comes to trade negotiations? Doesn't make any sense, man. Like I said, your actions.
You know the answers. The answers are because their donors told them to.
Yep.
That's why.
Of course it is, man. Man, look, Donald Trump sucks. To me, he's fucking awful. But to those people, he's not as bad as they try to make it out. And people, they use Donald Trump to raise money off of. Donald Trump being in office for another 4 years is good for the Democratic Party because they generate a lot of revenue. Go ahead.
The establishment loves Trump. They love him because he gets to be the heel and pass all these horrible things, and they get to act like they're outraged about it and play the resistance. You know what I mean? To them, the resistance is a hashtag. You know what I mean?
Did with Bush.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is what I tell people: the Republican Party wants to kill you now. The Democratic Party just wants to kill you slowly. Here's a little bit of poison, or here's a little bit of glass. Here's a little bit of glass for you. Eat a little bit of glass today. Yeah, we don't want to just kill you. Republicans like, no, let me just shoot you in the head and get it over with. Right. The Republicans at least honest that they're not going to do shit for you. Of course, Amy Klobuchar is pretty much standing on that shit. That's that thing too. She's still riding with that too. It's like that. Yeah. When I still can't believe that Bill Maher said, I think Amy Klobuchar would be best for everybody. I mean,
I think Bernie Sanders has to come out way more aggressive in terms of appealing to the minorities. He needs to just come out and just flat out just say it. What the hell has a Democratic establishment done for you? What the fuck have they done? He needs to just come out and just fucking say it, because if the media wants to come out and cry about it, what is he trying to say? Like, then it'll start a conversation about it. Like, you've been voting every 4 years for them. What has the Democratic establishment done for you? This is what I'm.
Goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. Shout out to the culinary workers and Las Vegas, man, for going against their union leadership, man. Bullshit. We know the culinary workers, the union leadership, they sell their own health insurance. That's what I found. I don't know if you know about that. So it makes sense. They make money off health insurance. So they don't want to get rid of it because, they benefit off of this shit. So at the end of the day, but the culinary workers, salute to them. A lot of them are Mexican. So, and I want people to understand this too. There's different, because I know people don't understand that a lot. When we talk about Latinos, it's not all the same. Florida, California, Nevada, California is going to be a little bit more similar, right. But Texas is different. And I'm about to bring up something in a second that you're going to believe, you're going to be fucking cracking up laughing about. But it's different. With the culinary workers said, well, we don't just care about our healthcare. We want everybody to have healthcare. It's not just about us. I'm being unselfish, They want to make sure that everybody in the country has healthcare and no one's suffering.
Aren't they the ones that were saying that all lives matter?
Are you talking about the culinary workers?
Yeah. No, not them. But, all the people that say, bullshit. If you don't have health care, a lot of the conservatives, because you up. And, man, you're the ones talking about, you're the ones that said hashtag all lives matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like all lives matter. You should want them all to have health care. But you're going to laugh at this one, man. So, some of the Democratic establishment online is saying Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders, he's still, he wants to have some limitation on guns, but he doesn't want to completely he doesn't want to just take away guns, right? And he's like, wait till to the Latinos in Texas find out that Bernie Sanders is going to really go in and just take their guns. They're like, oh man, you don't know.
Right.
They said they believe Bernie Sanders is going to be hurt in Texas because he doesn't want to take away the gun.
But bro, I'm a progressive. I'm from Texas. I got 3 Glocks in my house. Right, like you know what I mean. Like you break into my house and everything myself. You know, but that's besides the point. But a lot of Latinos got guns, bro. Okay, a lot of people in general got guns. But that's besides the point. Like this idea that that Bernie is so pro-gun is just laughable. It's one of the things I've ever heard. Like it's not even worth like really diving into. Reggie, you've been a little quiet there. What are your thoughts so far, bro?
No, man, y'all share the same thoughts I share, man. I haven't been in disagreement with none of it.
Bro, okay.
I'm just enjoying listening to y'all talk.
Well, Terrell, since I have you on, by the way, you guys.
Terrell, where you from? Terrell, I don't know where you're from, if you don't mind.
Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, Richmond, Virginia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I haven't heard or seen any polls coming from Richmond, coming from Virginia, but I would be interested in finding out. I know that Bernie Sanders has taken the lead in North Carolina, closed the gap in South Carolina. I mean, North Carolina and South Carolina demographically, I mean, there's some similarities to them, but they're really two different states. I would say that North Carolina is a little bit more progressive. Well, it's definitely more progressive leaning than South Carolina. South Carolina is definitely a conservative state. It appears even most of the black voters tend to lean more conservative in their mindset, man. It's just sickening because, like, man, you guys haven't gotten shit for being conservative. Maybe we should try the other side. We're like, no, we can't do that. We got to keep doing the same shit that has failed forever. I just don't understand that shit, man.
In fairness, though, like that's how a lot of minorities are with the Democrats. It's a fact for you, I've always said the Democrats don't do shit for you, but at least they don't fuck you over. You know what I mean? But that's not been true for the last few decades, actually. But
well, my problem with the Democratic Party is, like I said, they get mad at Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. So Bernie Sanders wants to eliminate student debt. Do you understand what student debt is doing to? Yeah. We're talking about not to the millennials.
Two people against that. Two types of people. Okay, people that just finished paying off their student debt, all right, and the boomers, bro. This is only 2 types of people against this shit.
The boomers are sick, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. The boomers are fucking sick. It's a fact, man, and they're gonna have to acknowledge the fuckery that they've laid to not just to millennials and the generation that comes after millennials, but to the Gen Xers. I'm a Gen Xer. A lot of the fuckery started when I was growing up as a kid. Yeah. With the Gen X, I mean, a lot with the boomers and shit supporting Ronald Reagan and then George Herbert Walker Bush. And then, of course, Bill Clinton caused a lot of major damage too, which people forget about. And then, of course, we got George W. Bush because people wanted to have a fucking beer with the guy. And then, of course, even though he lost the first election, he won, but then the second time he won. And then, of course, finally after that, we got Barack Obama, but Barack Obama was hope and change, but he was pretty much an empty suit. He had some progressive thoughts, but because he wanted to, get Republican votes, he decided to pass, which the Heritage Foundation's care, which Nixon care, which became Romney care, which became Obamacare. So which, like I said, it's a Republican health care plan. It was better than what we had, but it's not what we needed. And Democrats went out of the way to stop the public option from being added because, once again, Max Baucus's daughter worked for United Health. So he wanted to make sure that was stripped out. And the lobbyists came in and paid off a bunch of Democrats, and then they wanted to get rid of it. So it got removed. And Republicans helped craft the fucking bill, but then they all voted against the shit. And it's a funny thing, they should have stripped out every fucking amendment that the Republicans added in once they decided that they were going to vote against it. And we're not going to pass it. So you guys are going to vote against it. And then since you're going to vote against it, what we're going to do, we're going to pass what we want to fucking pass and not your version you want. So we're going to pass the most progressive piece of legislation that we could. They should have went on to pass not a public option. They should have passed Medicare for all, some type of single health care plan, which covered everything. They never would have been able to remove it. It would have been popular as fuck. And Democrats probably would have lost seats after that. if they just would have did it right. But Democratic Party is a conservative party, so
I want to kind of talk about something here, since there's myself, who's Mexican American, and we got 3 African Americans on the panel. So one thing that's been said, and this is from the left, okay, that's been said about Bernie is that Bernie, we've had enough old white presidents. We don't need another one. Bernie cannot possibly relate to minorities or anything like that. That seems to be one of the main attacks that they do on Bernie. You know what I mean? And I just wonder your guys' thoughts on that. What do you think, Raw TV?
Well, me personally, you addressed it to me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we had a young, charismatic African-American president, right? And what did we get out of that?
Obamacare. That's about it.
Like
nothing.
He did, Obamacare, and he did some things for other groups in this country, but for the group that was the most enthusiastic, his biggest supporter group, African Americans, we got absolutely nothing out of his presidency. Then again, we weren't vocal. We just looked at him symbolically for the most part. So that's on us too. I mean, I don't really look at, as far as with Bernie being white, whether or not that means that he can't empathize with the plight of other groups. You know what I'm saying? When you think of it, he is kind of a part of a minority group. He's Jewish.
Right.
So, there's that. There's always been a level of anti-Semitism in this country. So on that aspect, he can empathize with other groups as far as persecution and discrimination. But to me, it's bigger than that, man. I don't think you have to be a minority to know racism. He might not be able to see it in all angles and see everything from the prism that we see everything in our everyday lives, but you don't have to be a minority to necessarily see injustice or discrimination or unfairness for living in this country. Really, all it takes is, to be honest with you, it takes a level of intelligence and acuity, to me, to be able to see things for what they are and see that there is, systemically things wrong with our country. So I don't have an issue with him being an older white guy. That doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I'm saying? There are people my age that are very myopic to what's going on right before their very eyes, even in my own race group. So I don't see that as a problem.
What do you think, Reggie?
Man, I concur with that, man. I don't think he has to be black to understand what's important to black Americans. And sometimes you're not going to always get it from black folks. If the representation was by black folks, so I don't know where Republicans come with that ploy of trying to use this to sway people away. But when you hear, even when we talk about a lot of social issues and issues within our community. A lot of our issues within our community is about how a lot of our own people will sell us out. So it doesn't take that. It takes into what is truly in the heart of a person. Really studying history. I haven't seen any foul history of Bernie playing into a lot what plagues America, and that's American bigotry. American bigotry that sits in Washington. This is a dude who's, from what's been profiled about him, has always stood up against this. He stood up against this racial injustice in this country, other oppressive type tactics that has been systemic in American and has been what America's been built on. He's one of these guys who's campaigned against this and stood against this. So I have no issue against it. And in politics, and this is where the removal of this racial shit and what you do for this group and this and that group has to be removed from this fucking system. But it's going to take many decades before that happens, because it should not be a focus of what race a person is. If you're taking care of American people, and you take care of everybody that exists within it. And this is why I don't like immigration type shit. I don't like none of that shit that goes on in this country. I'm super vocal, super political, and I speak to shit. I don't speak this kind of linear standard of what people speak on politically. When some shit is bullshit, I speak out against it. But this guy being white has nothing to do with anything. As long as he understands what needs to be done in this country, he can see what's wrong with this country. He's the right person for the job.
I agree, man. What are your thoughts, Kelly?
Yeah, man. One of the issues that would happen with black folks when it came for Barack Obama was people were like, well, we can't ask Barack Obama for anything because, you know, they going to want to try to take him down. So we can't ask him for nothing. So, you know, the best part about Obama is that he's elected. So don't ask him for nothing because then they only going to say that he only wants to help just us black folks. So they were so afraid that he would lose. He wouldn't win the re-election if he actually tried to do anything. But black folks just said, okay, we're willing to accept not getting nothing just to have him there. It's like, what the fuck? That makes no sense at all, man. But I mean, black people are just, man, we just got a lot of us that are just really weak and don't really act, don't want shit. But then again, it's most of the country is like this way. We don't really want shit, man. They just don't want to demand shit from the people we elect. That just doesn't make any sense to me, man. It just, I can't fathom why people think that the government's not supposed to do shit for them. You pay taxes to have the government do shit for you, bro. It's okay for you to want, you know, smooth roads and infrastructure that won't collapse and things of that nature, man. And having good schools and, you know, in California, all the schools around the state used to be, perfect. But especially LA was one of the places where schools were immaculate. But when they cut property taxes, it's the areas that are minority heavy took the biggest hit. So resources were cut short in areas of southern. I mean, especially in LA, where a lot of the black kids resided. You know what I'm saying? Especially in places like like Crenshaw High and places like that, right? So, you know, this has been one of the issues. Black folks don't demand shit; they just sit down and shut the fuck up and they're like, okay, we still gonna vote Democratic. We never gonna ask for shit because you know what politicians do every year. The black folks, they come on and they go to the church and they change their cadence and shit like that, man. And black folks eat that shit up and they don't get a goddamn thing. And we are totally okay with that shit. And it just, I'm telling you, that shit burns me the fuck up, man. I can't stand that shit, man. Do not understand why black people don't want nothing in this country, man. Why do we continue to accept, you know, getting the short end of the stick when it comes to, you know, policies and demanding shit, man? It's just it annoys the fuck out of me, man. But yeah, the reason I ride with Bernie because Bernie, I'm more from an ideological standpoint, I'm mostly aligned with him more than any black candidate that's running in years outside of my Congresswoman Barbara Lee. There's no one else that I can see. Not Barack Obama, who's black, not Cory Booker, who's black, not Kamala Harris, who's half black. Which, you know, the reason I said about her because she was saying she was only Indian, before she started, she wanted to run for president. So, but that's a whole other subject. But she's black, she's a black woman. But I want you to read. I'm going to read this article for you. And this is why I fuck with Bernie Sanders too, man. Sanders won a 10 AIPAC conference, accused of providing a platform for bigotry. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent Vermont blasted the American Israeli American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, on Sunday in a statement confirming that he would not attend the pro-Israel organization annual conference. Sanders tweeted that he would not attend the conference due to the AIPAC connection to leaders who express bigotry, oppose basic Palestinian rights, and apparent reference to the current administration of Israel headed by Benjamin Netanyahu, whom Sanders has repeatedly criticized in the past. The Israeli people have the right to live in peace and security. So do Palestinian people. I remain concerned about the platform AIPAC provides for leaders who express bigotry and oppose basic Palestinian rights. For those, I will not attend their conference, he wrote. As a president, I will support the rights of both Israelis and Palestinians and do everything possible to bring peace and security to the regions, Sanders continued. So, that's ballsy, man. This is a guy who stands on something, man. He stands for shit. You can't. How many politicians would do that? None. He's the only fucking one who would do something like that, man. All the rest of them, they all back up. They have no balls. They have no morals. They don't stand on anything. Bernie Sanders stands for something, man. That's why I fuck with him, because he stands for something. He stands for something. He backs it up, and he's been standing for the same shit for decades. You gotta respect this dude. This dude is consistent.
And shout out to Batman Tweet. I do appreciate that. I love the switch up these styles. Stay working. Absolutely. Thank you very much for the support. Look, at the end of the day, Bernie Sanders was saying a lot of these things when honestly, it was not very popular at all to say them. Okay. And now politically, in a politically correct world, a lot of politicians do say a lot of the things to defend minorities and stuff like that, publicly, you know what I mean? But Bernie was saying these things before it was politically correct to do it. And I do agree, he does stand for something. Even if you disagree with his policies, you know exactly where he stands, and he's not apologetic about it. Okay, when they ask him how you're going to pay for it, he says, I'm going to tax Wall Street. I'm going to tax the billionaires. I'm going to raise it. He's telling you what he's going to do. Okay, he's not playing this mumble jumble crap, right? And I think the fact that people can't understand that, there's people out there that could just have empathy and understand, even if they don't fully understand, but at least have the empathy to try to understand what others are going through. You know what I mean? And I think Bernie is definitely by far and away the best candidate out there. Elizabeth Warren, her own quote unquote friend, turned on him and try to paint him as a misogynist, basically. With the whole he told me that, I couldn't, a woman couldn't win the presidency. You know what I mean? And then try to make him out to be a liar. Shows like The View sided with her, despite the fact, by the way, that there's footage from the 70s where Bernie Sanders says he believes a woman could become president, right? But, a lot of the establishment Democrats, hold it against him that he ran against Hillary because they were stupid enough to believe that we're going to vote for Hillary just because it was going to be the first woman president.
No, remember they wanted Hillary to be coronated. Yeah. Remember, Elizabeth Warren didn't run because Hillary wanted to run. Hillary Clinton, they tried to eliminate everyone. They didn't want Hillary to run against nobody. They just wanted to coronate Hillary and give her an easy path to the presidency. And she just wanted Hillary Clinton had a sense of entitlement. So Bernie Sanders wasn't going to run if Elizabeth Warren, she would have had the cojones to run against Hillary Clinton, which I was one of the ones calling for Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016. I was not calling for Bernie. I was calling for Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren decided not to run. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders ran, and people and all the Hillary and the Hillbots, and I still call them Hillbots because they're fucking psycho. And a lot of these, some of these Hillbots or some of these establishment people are Hillbots, so they hate Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders dared to run against Queen Hillary. You don't understand?
Yeah, but do you remember that campaign though? I'm with her was a slogan.
Yes, okay? I'm with her.
And we're gonna break the city and we're gonna make history. We're gonna vote for the first woman president ever. Like fuck policies, fuck what she's gonna do or not do. Okay, she literally thought I'm gonna get the endorsement of Obama. All right, and I'm the first woman president ever. If you don't vote for me, you're a sexist. They honestly thought that was a winning formula, which is unbelievable to me. And then she loses to the most unpopular candidate in history. Oh, he's a
Don't forget Madeleine Albright came with that bullshit talking about all the women who ride with Bernie Sanders are only doing it because they like boys.
And let's not get distracted by the fact that this is the same that's the same campaign, right? That started. They're the ones that started the birther thing, right? It may not have been she didn't go like Trump on camera and said it, but they're the ones that were kind of pushing that narrative out there, putting pictures out there that make him look like a Muslim. The Hillary Clinton campaign back in, what was it, 2007, were the ones that started that, and I've always found that interesting how he still got her to be in the cabinet and stuff like that. It kind of showed me that it was all show. But here's the next thing I want to ask you guys is this. In 2007, bro, Barack Obama got the most votes he got like 75 million votes, right? Like those votes would have beat Trump by like 10 million, right? And this was back when there was less voters out there. I mean, a lot of people really did believe in Barack Obama. And if you go back to that campaign, okay, hope and belief, and like that was kind of like the slogan. I forget the exact slogan, but I do remember like a lot of like he ran as a hardcore progressive. Okay, I mean, I could have sworn he was talking about universal health care when he was running, and he ran those ads.
Yeah, remember like I want to say like in September of that year. This was after after they were nominated. Remember, for a brief period of time, they were trying to stick the term restricted. They were trying to stick the term socialist on him, but it wasn't working.
Right. Oh yeah. They were calling him a socialist, and
they were calling him a socialist, but it wasn't resonating with voters. Even back then.
Another one was, he's a community organizer.
Yeah.
That was a code word, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember they were called until this day they say that the dude was a socialist, which is laughable. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But what I'm trying to get at is look how successful that campaign was, right? People they literally thought he was running for Medicare for all. It's basically what it strongly insinuated. You know what I mean? Like,
no, remember Barack Obama back in when he was running for Senate, but even before he ran for Senate, Barack Obama was he ran on Medicare, like a Medicare for all, single payer health care. Barack Obama used to be very progressive. Barack Obama, I mean, when he ran against Hillary, he ran to the left of Hillary, really clearly to the left of Hillary, and he beat her because you saw the real left wingers and even which will come some of the older millennials back there, and then of course us Gen Xers, Gen Xers, we all got behind Obama because I went before Obama, not just Obama back. Obama was left, and I'm a real strong, staunch progressive man. I'm a progressive man. I'm not.
But here's what I'm trying to get at, though. What I'm trying to get at is that's how he ran. The way he ran his campaigns were very progressive. Like I'm talking Bernie Sanders levels, right?
Yes.
But what's strange is that look how different Chris Matthews was 100% behind this dude, and he ran almost the same type of campaign that Bernie ran. The advantage that Obama has over Bernie is that he was young, he was charismatic, he was just flat out a much better debater, politician, you name it, than Bernie Sanders, right? It's just that Bernie Sanders is actually genuine about what he wants to do, but why do you think that the Democratic establishment is going so hard against Bernie, right? When, Obama ran the same type of campaign.
Because they knew. This is what I found out later, man. Yeah. What was called about the DLC, which later became the Third Way. The Third Way on their website, because the Third Way, because the DLC name became toxic, it became the Third Way. The Third Way spoke about Obama back in 2002. So they knew about him for a while, and spoke about him potentially being president of the United States one day. So they knew that Obama wasn't a progressive. But Third Way speaking about you, which is, like I said, the Democratic Leadership Council was pretty much started by Republicans, and it was Koch brother funded. So that should tell everybody everything you need to know right there. The Third Way is still Koch brother funded, and they received a lot of money from Wall Street and hedge funds and other fossil fuel companies and things of that nature. So they're funded by multinational corporations. That's where they get their revenue from. So they're one of their biggest pet peeves. One of the biggest issues is cutting entitlements. Social Security, Medicare, they believe that it should be cut. They say that's the best way for it to be healthy is to make cuts to Social Security and Medicare, not to raise the cap to Social Security, which makes the most fucking sense, or not raise it, but eliminate the cap, which makes the most sense. And actually fund Medicare and make it where everybody else, because the Medicare was originally supposed to, go start from age 55 and end up at 33 until everybody was on it. That's the way it was supposed to be, but Republicans, of course, blocked it. But yeah, man, this is what Obama was never going to be a progressive. He was a grifter, and he was always supposed to be a grifter. And I do think Obama was a little bit more left when he began as presidency,
Right.
as a president, when he went to president, as he became Barack Obama. But yeah, I believe Barack Obama was definitely a little bit more progressive than what Hillary would ever be. Hillary is a fucking Republican, man. I know that people and all these Republicans who hate Hillary Clinton was friends with George W. Bush, John McCain, and her policy-wise, she agreed with them quite a bit. And when they score and they talk about how she's liberal and shit like that, but reality is those scores are bullshit. The scores are only really should really count how many times do you compromise and then pass corporate-friendly policies. To me, corporate-friendly policies are right-wing policies. Yeah. Those are right-wing policies. I'm sorry. That's why I scored.
Hillary supported Barry Goldwater when he ran for president in the 1964 election.
Yep. Yes, she did.
And that should tell you everything. in all reality, there's a reason the Koch brothers helped fund her campaign, didn't they? Like once Trump ran, or didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
You don't
she also received money from Jamie Dimon too.
Now I'll tell you what, though, those Koch brothers will fund, Trump quick if Bernie Sanders gets elected. Like quick. Okay, don't make no mistake about that. Reggie, you have any thoughts?
Nah, man, I'm just tuning in, man. Y'all cooking, man. I'm tuning in, bro.
Yeah, man. I want to move on to another topic here. Okay. But before I do, you guys have any final thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, man. Like I said, man. Hillary Clinton, man. The people have this idea because they fall in love with, parties and their team. It's like a game for people, man. It's my team versus your team, and with this whole conservative versus liberal thing. And it's like most people don't even know what it means, man. So like, man, you guys have no clue because most people, what I've learned is people who use terms like communists and socialists and stuff don't even know which policies are being passed. If you ask them, which policy do you like of Donald Trump? Because I ask them this all the time. They said, well, the tax cut didn't benefit you if you're not a wealthy, if you're not like a multi-millionaire.
It's going to come for your social security.
Yeah, they can't tell you. So you don't know what policies Donald Trump passed? No. I said, you don't know that he passed a trade, that he signed a trade agreement? No, they didn't know that. I'm like, dude, why the fuck do you know? Why the fuck do you like him,
bro?
If you don't know anything, yeah,
they pulled people that loved the healthcare they had, and it was literally Obamacare. But since it said Affordable Care Act, or some states would call it something else, but it was funded by Obamacare, you know. But they were against Obamacare, but they had Obamacare. But they loved their coverage. They just didn't call it Obamacare. It was the stupidest thing ever, bro. This shit's insane.
No, remember they said I don't like Obamacare. I do like the Affordable Care Act. I'm like, oh my god! And I remember Nancy Pelosi's daughter was going around, and she was in the South. And said, "What do you think about Obamacare versus Affordable Care? I love the Affordable Care Act, but what about Obamacare? Yeah, Obamacare is terrible. I heard that it'll take all your money and tax you high." And she said, what if I told you that Affordable Care is Obamacare? It's not. It really is. No, it's bullshit. I don't know why you're trying to tell me that. I've known for a long time that Affordable Care Act is not Obamacare. We got something better than Obamacare. It's horrible. Obamacare has death panels. Obamacare has death panels.
Are dumb, that's for sure. So let's dive into this, man. Okay, I always end these with some talk about the Bible. Okay, earlier we had something about how the Catholic Church is the only way, and I forgot what the other dude said, but I want to talk about free will, and Kelly, you talked a lot about free will, and how if you believe in the Bible, everything is basically this all-knowing creator controls everything, right?
Right.
So you really have no free will, and right? I mean, we have no free will, right? I guess.
No, you can't. There's no way you can have free will if he knows everything to do before you do it, and it just doesn't make any sense. But then what I see is that religious people move the fucking goalposts when it comes to this guy, man. This guy's a fucking maniac, the Bible God. And none of you guys agree. Like we get fucking 5 different people in here, man. We get 5 different people in here who believe in the Bible, and they all have 5 different fucking opinions. And it's like, man, why wouldn't God make it easy for you guys so you guys can all sound the same?
We're gonna get a Hebrew Israelite on, so you can kind of, a boxing historian, to kind of, explain to us how this free will thing works, bro. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
But isn't it making any sense though? None of you guys can agree. If God is so real, why is there 4,200 religions, and why doesn't he clarify shit so everybody can actually agree and understand there's only one way to worship him, and that you have to do it this way? Why does he want it to be all fucked up and confusing so you guys can worship different ways and not agree? I mean, I'm still waiting for somebody to answer that shit. No, we can't.
I just wanted to get some clarification. I mean, Tural, what are your thoughts? Like, are you religious or agnostic, in between, spiritual? Where do you fall?
I grew up religious. Mm-hmm. Then I became agnostic. Now I'm pretty much full-blown atheist. I don't believe in
full-blown. Holy shit. Well, look, everyone's like a 99.9%
smart man.
atheist. You know what I mean? Like everyone's a 99.9%. It's just that, the 0.1% is a religion they believe in. They don't believe in anything else. You know what I mean? But let's in fairness, let's get boxing historian on here. What's going on, bro?
It was good, y'all. It was good. D-Style, Big Mike, Cali.
And B&B Box is like, I'm here too. Holy shit. B&B is like, what's up, guys? Like, you said Bible?
B&B.
Yeah.
What's going on with y'all?
But
what's happening?
You know what? I'm glad you two are on, because if the rest of the panel doesn't mind, I want you two to have a discussion about free will. All right, because you guys were kind of in a debate the last time. We ran out of time.
Right.
So let's start with boxing historian. What do you believe about free will, if we have any or not? And then I want B&B to respond.
Well, I mean, because I'm a man of principle, a man of the scriptures, being a Hebrew Israelite, right? Coming up from the school that I'm taught from, or the school and understanding that I'm taught from, and from according to the scriptures, there's no free will. Everybody's manufactured to be born to do what they're born to do. You know what I'm saying? And if we deal with balance, it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like scriptures talk about the Lord is a false balance and abomination unto him. So that means that you have to have good and you have to have evil. You have to have smart people and you have to have dumbasses. You know what I'm saying? You have to have, you have to have people that are good at something. You have to have people that are bad at something to have that particular balance. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, actually,
to do with free will and whether or not somebody is good for one particular area and somebody is better than another.
Let me add a question on top after you finish that point. Let me add one question after you finish these stuff.
Go ahead and add it, Reggie. Go ahead and add it.
So with that statement on free will, so should we not speak out about oppressive, or should we not speak out about the conditions of American society, in particular groups of people who who are oppressed within the society, being that if according to this thought, this is the way that free will allows this society to be. So should we just fall back and accept this? Because that's almost what free will to me sounds like, since things are predetermined.
So go ahead and address that box in the story, and then after you're done, B&B will respond. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, no, well, it's like this, right? Look, me being a Hebrew Israelite, I go out and teach on the street corners all the time, well, every week, about the oppression of the so-called black man, so-called Hispanic and Native American in this country and everywhere else in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, look, I feel like, look, I'm pre-programmed to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I mean, it's like this. If it's in your spirit or in your mindset to do so, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Now, I just want to bring this one scripture out because this is, you know, like I said, I live in the scriptures. So this is Psalms 90:9. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. So basically, you know, we all, like, everything that we see going on, you know, this is really a story. You know what I'm saying? We had, you know, all our lives is like a tale that was told, that was written already, of how it's going to happen. So at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to continue doing what I do. So anyone else that's out there that wants to speak about certain things, about certain, speak out about certain aspects and certain intricacies and variables that's dealing with their people, their particular struggle, then yeah, it's going to happen either which way, whether you want to or not, even if you think you're doing it or not. So that'd be my answer to you.
All right. Well, what do you want to respond to that, B&B?
I don't agree with it. I think we're talking about, you know, in that case, we were talking about talent and what somebody is strong at and what you're good at. You feel that you're meant to do something, and that's your particular strong suit in life, and you kind of bring that up as to say, well, I was meant to do that. You could be meant to. You could be. It's like you could be strong at accounting and math, but you won't get a college degree in mathematics, but you'll go for an accounting job. You know what I'm saying? But to say that from my particular school of thought, you know what I'm saying? I studied with Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, my grandparents and stuff were Baptists. You know what I'm saying? I did Catholic stuff, non-denominational, and you know, and I put all this stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And I've never from my understanding is that there are some things that are foreordained, not something that you are predestined to do. You know what I'm saying? There is free will, and not, God does not have your entire life mapped out. That is your particular choice as to how you end up. But you know what I'm saying? So you could select, you could choose. That's free will. You have the ability to choose. But some things, according to the scriptures, are foreordained. Like in the case that removing sin, life and death, and all those things that are in the Bible that are supposed to be brought back to its original state. Those things have been preordained, but your life itself is not. Although there are foreordained things in the Bible, and there are people who have been foreordained that things that were brought up in the past in the scriptures that say that they will come to be, and then their life would turn out the way that it was foreordained. So that now that's saying that God has the ability to do that, but everyone's life is not pre-mapped out. That's for you to follow. You get what I'm saying?
All right.
I mean, I understand.
Go ahead.
That's free will.
I mean, I understand what I understand what you're saying. Now, hey, I understand what your premise and everything, right? But if you're the man of the scriptures, you know what I'm saying, it would be in Catholic, Methodist, whatever, Protestant, break off from the Roman Catholic Church, whatever. You know, if that's the case, then you know you'd have to confine yourself into the scriptures, because I mean the word predestined is all throughout the scriptures, and when you whether you know it or not, it just like the scripture I just brought out, it says that we live our lives as a tale that is told, right? There's many more other scriptures that also entails in that, right? So let me bring this up.
That's a fact. That scripture that you brought up is fame.
It's what?
It is fame, like something that you say or something that's being brought up in a sentence, like you having a conversation. You know that, like that's the story being told. That's how you read it.
Okay, but I mean that's how David wrote it. All right, now I just want to bring this one out. Now this is the book of Ephesians, the first chapter, the 5th verse, right? It's speaking about who the world calls. Huh?
You say Ephesians? Yeah,
Ephesians 1 and 5. Now I want to bring this out because we're dealing with predestination. So Ephesians 1 and 5, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by so-called Jesus Christ to himself, according to the gospel, according to the good pleasure of his will. Now, when it says right there, it says having predestinated. So that means that not everybody was predestinated to understand his ministry. All right. So the whole aspect of me even bringing that out is the fact that it was already preordained from the very beginning of who he wanted and who he didn't want. Also, but in a generalization aspect, everybody's predestinated to do what they do.
But you got to take it. You got to bring it all the way into context when you say that. See, now he's talking. Now you got to get down to the root of it. He's talking to Christians. He's talking to the Ephesian congregation about their being foreordained. That he was talking about that the ministry was foreordained. You know what I'm saying? Those things were foreordained. But the choice as to whether or not you want to participate in is up to the individual. Because it also brings out that it's people that didn't want to participate in that and turned away and walked away from it. The individual themselves are not foreordained. The actual ministry is foreordained.
But see, B&B, what you bring on about God doing this and that on ordained people or Christian, this and that, it just shows how flawed God is from that aspect. And it also shows how deceptive this book can be. And it shows how man-made driven the book is. It can be, I think the Bible, people already know my stance on it, but it doesn't show from what you stated that this can be words that speak into the power of a God and how God viewed things. God shouldn't be concerned with what a person's religious beliefs is. I don't, and that just shows the man-madeness of what was just spoken right there.
So here's what I want to do. So next Sunday, I want B&B, if you guys are available anyway, B&B and Boxing Historian, like and I'll be the moderator, right? To have a theologian kind of debate in regards to this. But just to kind of let some other people in here. But I first want to say this though, B&B. So like when you say, no, well, that part is only for these people and this part is for the ministry. Like, does it say that in the Bible? Does it say like, okay, like, why wouldn't it just say that? Like, oh, this part is for the ministry or the following.
It's not, see, you got to understand, see, that
why is it cryptic is what I'm saying. It's open to interpretation.
It's not being cryptic. It's just like it's so broad and there's so many religions, and so the way everybody's being taught that, you know, Christ died for you. Everybody's been told that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people take that and will say he died for all of us. Yeah, of course he did. But he also said he died for those exercising faith, or actually working their faith in him. And if you're not doing that, those none of those things pertain to you the gift, the invitation is open to everyone, but not everybody will accept it. That's the point. So you actually have to be actively working and being a part, trying to be a part of this ministry, or if you want to worship God, you have to be working on it in order for it to apply to you. So a lot of people take it and saying, well, that's the same thing like the Catholic Church did. And when you go in there to make confession, you know what I'm saying? As long as you confess in Jesus Christ, your sins are forgiven, and next Sunday you still back out at the club. You know what I'm saying? So, it's confusing when you think about it that way, but it's applying to actual faithful, reverent people who are working on their relationship with God. It doesn't apply to people who aren't.
Like you do have to admit that the instructional instructions, right? The instructional manual is a little too complicated. Like you would think if God gave people like a manual of life, right? Like this book has everything you need to know. Like if you read this book, I just got to be honest. Like I'm not convinced in terms of like this totally has all the answers for me, But yeah. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, just to touch on the point that you're getting at. Well, here's the thing. Like this Bible, because I understand that the brother, the brother B, I'm saying he believes he has a certain understanding of this, but when you go read in context of what the scriptures are speaking on, dealing with the Holy Bible, all right, dealing with the scriptures in its entirety, all right, because I deal with the KJV 1611. I don't deal with just the KJV without the other 14 books. When you go read and understand what this book is, the manuscripts are for, it was for the Most High's chosen people, and it was always for that. All right, so that manual scripture goes into history, and it goes into prophecy, and it goes into how the moral code and laws that his particular people, which would be the nation of Israel, should be doing, and what laws and what they should be keeping. All right, so that's what it's pretty much for. Now, like the scripture I brought out, it's not built for everyone to get, and that's the point that that I brought out to counteract the point of people having free will. All right.
I'm not getting that. Go ahead.
Well, let's get Kelly in here. What do you think, Kelly, so far? I don't think Kelly's there. You there,
that
bro?
shit is crazy as hell to me, man. I just listened to it. Sorry, eating pistachio. I was listening to that shit, man. I'm sorry. That shit is ape shit to me. Shit's shit crazy to me, for the simple fact is none of you guys, neither one of you guys agree with each other. I mean, none of you guys agree. I can literally bring in 10 different people, and none of you guys are going to agree on your religion. And I'm sorry, homie, but you believe that there is no free will. You're telling me that you got to win a lotto, basically. Now, how can you want to support a God that sets your life up like that for you to get fucked? You're like, I'm going to pick and choose the winners. You're going to be lucky. I'm going to make it where you're going to benefit after you die. But I'm going to make life a horror show for you after you die, because that's just what I wanted. And I remember you telling me, you said, well, that's just the way God wants to do it. Why do you think that's good?
If I'm correct, you're referring to Mr. Boxing Historian, right?
Yeah, the Boxing Historian.
Okay.
Yeah, why do you think that's good, man? Why do you think that's good for God to set people's lives up to fail and like
so
a
here's
fucking
what
game?
I want. So Boxing Historian, answer that, and then if after you answer, I want to know if B&B has any counter answer to that. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's like this, right? So-called black, like, because my message is for the people of Israel, which which I understand to be from the scriptures and from my own understanding and research and my own information that I have is, you know, the people that are over here that served on cargo slave ships, which would be, you know, so-called black men and the so-called indigenous men from the different parts of America. Now, I'm bringing that, and I'm saying that because, you know, because you asked why. Well, you have a different understanding from him, but you guys read from the same Bible, you know, and we got to understand that even though we have the same Bible, it's two entirely different belief systems. Now, to answer what you were saying, all right, we have to look at it from we look at things from a what you call a two-dimensional perspective, right? Of what we see in front of us. We understand. I think, you know, from the last time we spoke, I think we all have an understanding that there's a 3 or 4 dimensional aspect of life that we can see. I mean, that certain things that we know that's there, but we can't see it because it's not tangible. So that would entail, because I hear a lot of brothers a lot of times talk about, I'm a God, I'm in the mindset of a God. Well, the mindset of a God is on a higher level than of the mortal mindset, of the so-called earthly mindset. So it's like this, right? Just to top it off, if I know that the Lord made a certain nation of people to be wicked and cruel, and they'll go pillage and plunder everything that they ever touch, all right, go wipe out.
That's the thing. You see, that's I gotta stop you right there.
Well, let him finish that, and then you'll go, BNB.
This guy created people.
Well,
hold on, because just let him finish, and then you're next, BNB.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, to wipe out a whole nations of people and take them over, and then he set up a particular nation that he favors, right? And he sets that nation up to be his chosen nation. It's like this: if you go create a person in a video game, or if you're a person of that artificer, someone that creates stuff, you create pots, you create cars and whatnot. You're gonna like one of those particular pots and cars and set them up a certain way, different than the other car and pots that you set up. Why? Because you show favoritism. All right. And you set things up. So it's more understanding the God aspect and on a higher level of why that's happening.
Okay.
It's just what it is. That's just basically what I'm making.
Well, go ahead, BNB.
Did God create us, or did he create this system of which we govern ourselves by at this particular time? Did God create this system of government? Do you believe?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, the Most High created man for their own purpose. Every other, and I'm answering it based off of the question that you asked. Not, I can't just say yes or no. All right, because it's not a yes or no question. He created everybody to have their own particular penal code.
He created us, right? No, let's get to it. He created us, right? We agree with that, right?
He created everybody on this earth.
So he created everything. Now, the way that we govern ourselves, did he create that?
He created everybody to be who they are, and that's what, and it tells you in the garden. All right, because when you deal with the fruit and you deal with the tree and you deal with the serpent in the garden, all that is allegorical. All right, everybody had a particular fruit, and those fruits and that tree represent the particular nations of people, and those fruits were the different doctrines and different laws and penal codes of those particular nations. Right, and I know that's where we differ on understanding, because I don't know if you guys believe that was an actual serpent, all right, or actual tree in the garden and the actual fruits. But the point I'm bringing out is that, yes, he's created everybody to be a certain way and have certain penal code, just like he created the Israelites to have a particular laws, moral, civil, dietary as well as ceremonial laws. So yes, for each nation, and have their particular mindset.
So let's do this. All right.
I got
Do
one
you-
question after that.
Okay. Do you two? Because I got like 10 minutes and I got to wrap it up. But do you two agree to have a formal debate next week on Sunday? Right
Yeah.
here on my channel.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Okay,
I
so
feel
we'll
you.
set that up. That way it's just you two, like mano y mano. I'll just be a moderator. I will not give my opinion and shit. It's let you guys go at it, free will with the Bible and all that. But here's what I want to ask, and then I'll let you go, Reggie. But if the Bible is a manual of life and like all this stuff, right? I don't mean to be too vague, but just for the sake of time,
Go ahead.
if that's the case, like just imagine if I was hired, right, to make a manual on how to set up a dresser. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're in charge of doing this manual. I want you to give all the instructions on how to do it. And my manual is like so vague and can be interpreted in many different ways to the point where if you get 10 people, like none of the dressers are going to look alike. You know, some of them are not going to be able to finish the dresser. One might get it right. Another one might not get it right. You know, it's like, how good am I at giving instructions if 10 people can't get it right or just disagree with how to set up the dresser? B&B, you want to answer that or?
Say that for me again. I was thinking about something else on that.
Okay, if I created a manual on how to set up a dresser, and 10 people looked at that manual, right, and interpreted it in their own way, and they none of them created the dresser the way it's supposed to be. Instead, you know, they have all these deformative, you know, type of dressers, and they're all arguing with each other who did it correctly, right? Did I, as someone providing instructions, succeed in making sure everyone understands my instructions?
Well, that's what the Bible is for, to make sure that you understand it. It is message, you know what I'm saying? But it requires study, you know what I'm saying? And in the scriptures, I was trying to look for a scripture, but it also brings out that he's the revealer of secrets. You know what I'm saying? And he can blind your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And it also brings about that God is roving about throughout the earth, searching for those wanting him. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that you have to want. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, you know, Jesus Christ even brings this out. You know what I'm saying? He draws you to him. That's the key to it all. He draws you to him.
Okay.
So these things, you know what I'm saying? It requires the divine, the creator, to do this, because from what my knowledge is that we put ourselves in this state. So if we really want to know, and if we actually looking for it, and if we're searching for him, we will use the tools and study and gain understanding in order to find him. You know, Proverbs brings that out. You got to search for it like his head churches. But if you're searching for him, he will reveal himself to you. He will draw himself to you. But it requires that type of relationship. So it's what you're saying is that's something that you have to decide personally. You know what
Let
I'm
me
saying?
ask this question, man.
How
Let's
come
let
there's
Reggie
billions?
Let me ask this question real quick, Callie. All right, so from the conversation real quick, we got that life is predestined, it's predetermined. You are going to be who you're going to be. You're going to suffer how you suffered. So with that being stated, so it's almost like your script through life is already programmed. So with that stating, you're already putting in one point to where God's plan is already within you. So my question to that is, if that's the case with situation, what's the purpose of needing to search for God? What's the purpose of needing to pray to God? And what's the purpose of needing to pray for change? If that's the way life is supposed to be written out, And if you have free will, what's the purpose of having to search and look for things and praying your way up out of situations, since it's already been predestined of how life's going to turn out for you? What's the purpose of a Bible? What's the purpose of a prayer and a prayer?
Let's give that question to Boxing Historian. He's the one that more so falls in line with that. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, the whole purpose is, excuse me. So yeah, for the whole purpose of it is the fact that, you know, like it says in the book of Daniel, this 12th chapter, seal this knowledge up into the end, right? Like I said, this book was only well, Slakia. Let me just rephrase that. The manuscripts in the text of the Torah, Tanakh, and Gospel that's in the Holy Bible, right, was given to that particular nation of people, right, which are the Israelites, who in these last days will find out who they are in these latter times. And what is that all fulfilling? That's all fulfilling prophecy, because the scriptures already said that if the nation of Israel forsook his ways, forsook God's way, what would happen? You would be put on cargo slave ships. You would be overtaken by your enemy. You'd be given a different language than your original language, and you would go into cattle slavery. And you would completely forget who you are, and then be called by all kinds of different names, you know, all under the sun that you didn't know from thousands of years ago. So the whole purpose was, okay, that was going to happen. So that was one part of the movie. Now we're in the latter part of the movie where people are starting to wake up and realize who this Bible is really for, and who this Bible is really written for, and why things are happening, what's going on right now. And also, and you know, at the same time, that it also says that that a chosen people of that particular nation would get it in the last days. So that'd be my answer to that.
Who said that's not true?
I did.
Go ahead.
Well, in Matthew chapter 23, at the end, towards the end of Christ's life, what did he say to the Jews when he pronounced judgment on them? He said, the kingdom itself will be taken away from you. Not a stone will be left upon a stone and be thrown down. The kingdom will be snatched away from you and given to a nation bearing its fruit. That's what he said. So if he's saying that the Israelites is the ones, then that judgment is solidified through him. Now he said the kingdom will be snatched away from you and given to a nation bearing its fruit.
Mm-hmm. So here's what we're gonna do. So, you know,
so it don't belong to you no more.
So the training camp starts after this video. You guys get your, you know, scriptures ready, the whole night. You're gonna go at it for a good hour next week, right? But just to go down the line, so we can wrap it up here. I'm just gonna give everyone a chance to kind of chime in.
Let me ask one question. One quick question, real quick.
Yes.
For BBNG, just want to say, man, you said that you got a totally different belief system from the Boxing Historian. I want to know, from your beliefs, why are there billions of different beliefs as far as religion goes on Earth? I've spoken to a lot of people who believe that they have the right answer, and people who will believe that you're absolutely wrong. What makes you right, and what makes them wrong?
You see me in the chat? Y'all still see me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, because it's saying that I dropped off. Look, it's just a matter of faith. It's just a thing that you got to study. I can't convince somebody of what I know. The only way that I could convince is if we actually sat down, went through the whole book, and then you must decide whether or not I'm telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? Or if the Bible is true. You know what I'm saying? It does require convincing. Somebody has to tell you these things, and then I have to go back and back it up, or the Bible has to back itself up, and we have to go through it. And then once a complete understanding of what the scriptures say, you make your own judgment. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's that's your free will. You know what I'm saying? But you have to have knowledge beforehand in order for you to make that decision.
But what if you're wrong? What if the boxing historian is right?
If he right, he right. You know what I'm saying?
But then, aren't you gonna be conditioned to hell then?
Huh? I don't
Won't
believe
you be
in hell.
conditioned to hell for being wrong?
I don't believe in hell. Nor does the scriptures talk about hell. The Catholic Church already came out and said that they brought that up. They made that up.
Well, Jay Cooley believes in all this, and he said that if you don't believe, you go to hell. That's what he said on the chat. But I'm asking.
Well, shit. I mean, well, look, the hell that shoot. Well, technically, I mean, shit. The hell is the grave. So yeah, I mean, if you don't believe, I guess you get put 6 feet under, you know, and your spirit going, and you're going back in the spirit world, you know.
Now, I don't mean to cut it too short, but we're gonna wrap it up momentarily. But Too Raw for TV, you still there, bro?
Yeah, I'm still.
Anything convincing you've heard? Any thoughts you got?
I mean, like I said, you know, I'm not in the conversation because I just don't believe in the God concept at all. But
Gotcha.
I mean, if I had to give any little opinions, like, I just don't understand, like, when I think of, like, a higher power, I tend to think of, I do believe there's the possibility of a higher power. Right. I just don't believe God in the sense of the scripture. I do believe there's a higher power that created all of living being within our universe. But my personal opinion, I just think that if there is this higher power that created this vast universe, I just think it's a little narcissistic for us to think that he only is focusing on Earth and us. And
right.
I don't know. It's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
Well said, man. Any final thoughts, bro? Turo? Just in general? All right. Kelly, go ahead and give us your piece, bro. Any final thoughts?
Oh man. To me, you guys know where I stand, man. To me, religion, the whole idea of religion is absolutely hilarious. It's everything about it seems to be fucking just funny to me, man. I listen to it. No one can really give a good answer why they're right. I mean, it just seems to be a lot of hoping. It's more of hoping you're right than it is knowing, because you don't know if you're right, because otherwise you would think there would be more uniformity when it comes to this religion shit. But there's 4,200 religion, and there's billions of people on Earth and billions of different views. And guess what? Those billions of people believe that they have the right answer, instead of people not guessing and taking a second look and thinking, hey, maybe this religious shit is bullshit, and maybe I should follow more of the science. People are afraid to do that because they believe that that's religion. Most, at least, I should say, the Abrahamic religions are based off of fear, and that's the sad part about all of this shit. But in the end of the day, I'm glad I freed myself from the chains. I'm glad I'm not tethered to that shit anymore. I think but it's funny though, listening to it, man. I mean, when I used to believe in this shit, needs to be afraid just like you guys. But maybe you guys don't think you're afraid, but shit seems like fear to me. It's absolutely funny, man. Hopefully people can continue to wake up from this nonsense as more people are starting to become non-believers. I love that. It means that we're going to be moving towards a more fact-based society instead of a make-believe shit. Because to me, I mean, like I said before, the Paul Bunyan and the Bible is the same thing to me, man. But I appreciate all you brothers, man. Believe whatever you want to believe, as long as you're not harming anybody, bro. But the shit's still funny to me, man. Thanks for letting me come on D-Style, man. I appreciate it. Can't wait to listen to next week's show. It should be awesome. He said, Jay Cooley said, Cal, you lost, brother. I'm going to pray for you. I love you, brother. It won't do nothing, but I appreciate you.
Go ahead, BB. Give us your thoughts.
Last time we was on this panel, we had this discussion. You ended with, I believe, I have faith in the people that I associate with.
I never said I have faith.
Look, you said you believe. Believe is the same thing.
I said I believe in stuff that I can be proven. I said I believe in stuff that can be proven. I believe in science, bro. That's what I said.
You said you was atheist, right?
Huh?
You said you was atheist, right?
Yes, I am. I'm atheist.
Right. And you
Full blown. I said I don't believe in a God unless you can prove one, and none of you guys can demonstrate to me that one exists.
And you said you associate with a group of people that believe the same way that you do, right?
Say it again.
You associate with people that believe the same way that you do, right?
Yeah, we don't believe in religion or any God or anything like that.
Oh, you got a group of people which church comes from, and you have a belief system, so you going to church every time you associate.
No, we don't go to church, bro. Matter of fact, the group that I used to hang out with, you know, we would go to this bar, and then what I would do is I would get myself a lemonade every single time, and then most of the time we would discuss politics. We discuss politics most of the time. Very rarely discuss religion. We mostly discuss politics. I remember in the past we discussed Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and there was a couple ladies but most of it was based off of politics. No one believed. We rarely spoke about religion, even though we were a group was called Beer Not God. But we rarely discuss religion. That's not discussing politics. It's religion. Okay, whatever, man. If that's what makes you feel better to try to hope that to try to bring more validity to your bullshit, but whatever, man. Your religion is nonsense. But I mean, if it makes you feel better, if it's like grabbing a teddy bear so you can go to sleep at night to eat your own, brother.
Hey,
but to me, man, it's Teddy Ruxpin and the God is the same thing, bro. The same thing. I don't believe in Teddy Ruxpin.
I'm going to say something too.
Well, we got to wrap it up soon, so we're going to go down the line. But B&B, give us your final thoughts.
Oh, you know, it was fun. I appreciate y'all. You D-Style inviting me on the panel. I appreciate everybody up here. You know what I'm saying? We can do it next time. And what's the premise of what we're going to be talking about next week? I just wanted to ask.
It's just in general free will. If you have free will.
Okay.
And Boxing Historian, I mean, you're going to go head to head with B&B next week. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you know, look, now I understand, you know, why people are hesitant with the scriptures, because that was one of where the Bible was used by the slave masters to control our people. And I understand, you know, or even just going against the whole mindset because of what's happened. But you know, like I said before, you know, my base of teaching is for our people exclusively because that's what the scripture speaks of. So my whole thing is, man, look, you know, all love, you know, it's not about putting nobody in bondage. It's just more about, you know, because we know that there's one truth in this earth somewhere, somehow, some way. And I'm wholeheartedly believing that what I'm doing, what I'm teaching, what I represent is the truth. So that's just my whole objection, you know, my whole mission, if you will, you know, is that, man. So
we gotcha. All right. Reggie Owens.
Yes, indeed, man. Thanks for bringing me on, man. I enjoyed this conversation tonight. And with the religious thing, I'm far from religious, but to each his own, man. Some people find benefits in religion. It works for them. So like I say, I don't knock what other people believe in. It can't be preached to me, but all in all, if it makes you a good person, then right on with it. But man, I'll catch them guys on Sunday, and for the rest of the week, I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So B&B and Boxing Historian, email me, dstyleBoxing@gmail.com. Okay, so we can agree to a time and all that. It should be around, like, you know, the time I started this video, just so you have an idea. But with that said, I do got to run. G-Funk is in the chat. I mean, G-Funky could have jumped on, but he didn't jump on. You know, G-Funky wants to be safe in the chat section. It's all good. All right. But this is D-Style, and I'm out, guys. Peace.
Peace. Shalom.